Hey guys, sorry about that. We're just going to start. Um, let's just quickly go through what's going on. We're talking about Dick Tracy today. I don't have a yellow hat, so I wore. This is a yellow bandana, but like it's because my lights are so bright that it's coming kind of like almost like a teal. But whatever, it's the closest thing I have to yellow. I have no Dick Tracy items. I have lots of DVDs and Blu-rays, but nothing to wear that's Dick Tracy. No watch or anything, which I always wanted. But I wanted to quickly talk about what's going on tomorrow night. The big one, Legion live stream tomorrow night. That World's Finest only mentions the Legion, but we're going to talk about it because it's a prelude to the issue, which is right after it, which is all about the Legion. And that issue is awesome. Oh my God, this is like the greatest comic tomorrow we're going to talk about. And these three other Legion stories are great. And it's right. Darkness Saga's coming in like a week or two. Because next week we got to do some of the annuals that come in between, and then we're going to start the Darkness Saga. It's going to be awesome. I am going to see where is the so Wednesday I'm going to be on the Action Elite Live. We're going to be talking about the challenge. This is Scott Glenn and Toshiro Mifune in a pretty damn cool movie. We're going to talk about that on Wednesday on the Action Elite, so make sure you guys are subscribed to that one. I am going to go see Captain America: Brave New World. So I've paid my money to go to IMAX to see it. So I want to be if they're going to insult me, it's better to insult me in IMAX. At least then I got like a comfortable chair. So I'm going to have an open mic talk on the weekend for Captain America: Brave New World. All right, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Not in about a week or so. I'm going to be doing a longer video. It won't be a live stream. It's going to be a video. It'll be a longer video. I don't do too many longer videos. I posted this on the community chat. I'm actually going to do ISOM number 2 versus Cyberfrog Wrecked Planet. And this isn't a versus on the comic. It's actually going to be talking about the art specifically. So just specifically the art. It is not going to be talking about the two individuals who are fighting each other, nor their companies fighting each other. Just page-to-page comparison, 9 pages of action from ISOM number 2, 9 pages of action from Wreck Planet. It's really meant to be sort of I don't want to say educational, but to let people know that, look, you can make your art a bit more dynamic, for the people who are buying your comic. So that's going to come in about a week or so. And coming up, not next weekend, the weekend after, we're doing Days of High Adventure, Tarzan and the Lost City, and Scott Tracy Griffin, the author of a few Tarzan books, is going to join us. He's been here before, and he's going to join us to talk about Tarzan Lost City. Now, he's done a big thing on this movie. Casper Van Dien wrote the foreword to one of his books. He's interviewed him, so he's an expert on this Tarzan. And I actually really like this Tarzan movie, and I have the poster for it. It's one of the, I think it was the second Tarzan poster I ever bought, so looking forward to that. Let's thank the Super Friends before we start. So the Super Friends are the channel members. So we thank Dan, Sean, Stephen, Brennan, Mark D, RR, Philip Story, S182, Digger Jim, Quagnar, Legion of Comics, and Just Joe. And of course, we thank Mike Alonso Clobberin Times. I actually have no clue if he loved this movie or not. We never really got a chance to talk about it while he was alive. So I think he probably would have liked it because it seems very comic booky. There is a lot of villains in it, and they all get smoked. So you probably just imagine if the first Batman movie had like 15 Batman villains and they all just got smoked. You'd be like, this is crazy. Why is this happening? But there is no part 2 to this movie, so I guess it's cool. So, but we want to thank him, of course, on every stream. If you want to become a super friend, a channel member, you can hit the join button. And right now, I've just added more comics to the Super Friends Drive. So this is the Super Friends Drive that everyone gets access to. So right now, The Outsiders, Batman The Outsiders is on there. We just reviewed that. Brigade is on there, a couple of Young Bloods. I'm going to add more as I go. The Legion comics are there, three of them that we're covering for tomorrow. And I've also added Batman Dark Patterns, which is absolutely freaking awesome. So if you want to join up, there you go. There's only one tier, so check it out. All right. Is that everything? Yes. Let's start bringing in these folks so we can start talking. Then I'll say hi to the chat. Where I in order to make room for all this crap, I had to delete some intros. So don't feel bad if you don't have your personalized intro. But this person does have their intro. Hey.
Congratulations on 2,000, man. That's a
thank you so much. Yes, I do have 2,000 subscribers. So I appreciate that to everybody. I'm going to wait because YouTube does this thing where they're like,
I know it dances. Yeah.
And then you log in the next day. It's like 1993. You're like, wait, what the hell happened? Like, some people thought I was trash.
Yeah, I've been flirting with 1.6 for weeks now. And it's like,
yeah,
nice. Just give me those 2 more. You were there. And then went
Where
down.
are you? Damn it. All right, let's bring in, this person also has their intro. And then after this, it's going to be generic intros. Steve, you made it in the top 3 intro. I only have room for 3.
Thank you. Thank you.
You made it in the top 3, baby. You got
Thank you for keeping my intro.
well, Charlie changed his logo, and it's actually, the new logo is 10 out of 10. It's absolutely awesome. So there's no point in showing the old logo anymore, anyways. And unfortunately, the computer I made these on died. So I actually lost my animations, and this new computer can't do them, or I'd have to buy a program to do them. So I'm not that excited to have Charlie on to buy a program and just so I could do his intro. So instead, we'll give him the Kerr Avon. We'll give him the Avon.
No, it's a question of intelligence, so your opinion has very little relevance.
It's okay. Avon's my favorite. Avon's one of my favorite characters of all time, and everything he says is absolutely gold.
Like at first I was disappointed. Then you saved it by being like, yeah, it's his old logo. I'm like, that's true. Okay, you got me back. And then you stepped on my dick again, and I'm like, I'm just gonna watch the Super Bowl. Okay.
When is that? Is that on now?
It's right now.
Yeah,
it's on. Great. That was.
I've got it on Tubi right now, just because I wanted to see how good it did.
No,
I was about to say, J-Man does not care about the Super Bowl.
Obviously not. So I'm surprised there's anyone here in the chat.
That's how good of a friend I am. Okay?
Wow,
I am on your stream while the Super Bowl is on.
Wow. Well, nothing's gonna happen for like an hour, anyways. Let's face the facts. It's like I've if you've seen 1 minute of football, you've seen it all. It's not wrong. It's just guys standing around. I'm like, they need to do. Well, let me get everybody else in. Let me get everybody. All right, let's bring in Mr. Fancy Pants.
Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
Well, hell, it's not like we're missing WrestleMania or something good.
Right, exactly. We wouldn't miss that. All right, let's bring it. We've got one more today. We got a 2x3 grid here. So let's bring it. I don't have his intro either, but his intro really didn't exactly. Well, it kind of fit. It was okay, but I'm gonna give him my favorite movie intro. Let's do that. Let's do that.
All right, I'll take it. That's a good.
That's a good one, man. That's a really good one. That's a good
I raced home. I had a shitty day at work, and you got rid of my intro. What?
Yeah, no. You got the. I'll see if I can put it back on.
Man.
Right away, we got a super sticker from FK. I can't see the sticker, buddy. Let me go to. I can only see it on YouTube. Hold on a second. Okay, yeah, there you go. Oh, it's a smiley face. Thanks, FK, man. I really appreciate that. Awesome. Let me give you. What can I give you for that one right away here? What do I have? I'm trying to get something new. I can get. How about Pink Ranger? It's so quick. It's just the smile. It's the credits. I was trying to find some good Pink Ranger stuff, and I just can't get any good gifs. So there, it's just a smile. That's it. But I can get. How about and how about Stella?
There you go.
There you go. So thanks, FK. I appreciate that, man. Joe Dog was here first, as always. Thank you, Joe Dog. What's up? CT, thanks, buddy. Dick Tracy, that's an adult film. No, that's Richard Tracy. That was because Dick was already there. In order to differentiate it, they called it Richard Tracy or Mascarado. Yes, I love your. You've been on here before. You're friends with Dick Ross, right? Are you? Who else is it? Classic Comics is here, guys. Make sure you subscribe to Classic Comics. The link to his channel is in all my videos, so check it out. I'll put it in the chat a little bit later. Hope your ticket. No, it's not. It's not actually.
Oh, come on.
I gotta pay the full price.
Classic
I'm excited to see the Red Hulk for 5 minutes. I'm contemplating, and I've done this before, and it's very funny. I'm contemplating timing actually timing it, how long he's on the screen for, because I did that. What did I do that for? I can't remember. I was like, let me time this shit, because like, what is it? Like, why? It's like we didn't get a chance to do it for what's the Dinobots? Transformers.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh,
I had to pee. That's
Yeah,
why.
Transformers. What is it? Extinction.
There's
It's the fourth one,
Age of
wasn't
Extinction.
Age of
I think it's like
Extinction.
Age of Extinction. Yeah.
That is a very. I actually don't mind. I don't hate that one, but it's so long. Sean couldn't stand it, and Sean always sits next to me. So then I've got to. I hate when then I got to move too. So then Sean had to piss. I'm thinking, buddy. Then now I've got to move. Can you make it? No, I can't. All right, fine.
No, I thought the movie ended, and then they were like, "Oh, we have to go to Hong Kong." Like, okay, well, they're gonna spend maybe 10 minutes in Hong Kong. It's another 40 minutes just fighting in Hong Kong.
Well, Hong Kong's an important place, man. You don't just go there for 5 minutes. Like,
All right. So tell me. So I'm not going to see Brave New World until I can see it for free somewhere. Not gonna,
Yeah.
But let me know if Harrison Ford at some point says, "You wouldn't like me when I'm angry."
Right.
He probably will. Yeah. That sounds like something they'll do. I
That
can't
mega
resist.
gravelly voice.
Yeah.
You won't like me when I'm angry.
I don't think so. They should make fun of Indiana Jones. That'd be really fun if they did it that way.
Yeah.
And then,
would be
and then in
funny.
the deleted scenes, he'll go like, "Is that a line from something I should know about?"
I could get behind that. Get off
Hey,
my plane or some shit.
classic
Oh,
comedy.
that would be awesome.
What?
That would be
This
really
is his
cool.
second time playing president.
Have him yell, "Get off my plane."
Oh,
get off my
yeah.
plane or whatever.
Oh, man.
I liked that movie. The first time I ever
Great
saw that movie was when we streamed. I had never seen that movie until I streamed it with on Owen's channel, whenever that was last
yeah.
year.
Oh, yeah.
You were too busy watching Spawn, which came out the same weekend.
Yeah. Oh, I got beat up by man, because everyone made fun of me because they know how much I love Spawn, and Melinda Clark was also in it, so I was super pumped for it. And then I came out and was like, "Oh, that was a terrible movie," and then she sucked in it too. I was like, "Oh man." And I was like, you know what? It's like I shut it down. I just hit the shutdown button. It's like, okay, that's it. I'm shutting you all down. Get out of here.
Shut off, Todd McFarlane.
That's it. Get the hell out of my face. I don't need to. But I remember when we walked out of Batman and Robin, and I liked it. And I remember the other Sean, and my buddy Jay. Now Jay is the most polite human being on the planet, so he would never say anything remotely negative. So he's just like, well, it wasn't very good. And he would, but Sean's like, oh, you're gonna buy that? Are you gonna buy that movie? I was like, of course I'm gonna buy it. It's Batman. And he's like, what? Oh, it's so terrible. And then we had this big fight. We always have fights, right? So we had this big fight all the way back home. And he goes, oh, there's nipples and all that. I was like, first of all, you love Batman Forever. And he's like, yeah. I was like, there's nipples in Batman Forever. And he's like, no, there isn't. I'm like, hold on a second. I've seen Batman Forever 4 trillion times, and it's like, and I don't even like Batman Forever, but I've seen it 4 trillion. I was like, there's nipples on the bat. So he's like, no, there isn't. I said, let's drive to your house right now, because I'm crazy. I won't let it go. I'm like, no, we're driving to your place right now. And he put it. He's like, oh yeah, there's nipples. I was like,
and back butt. Yeah.
I didn't love Batman Forever, but I wasn't like offended by it. It was a franchise killer, but I don't think it was like as bad as a lot of people think. It was a lot of cocaine in that movie.
Just what every Batman film needs.
Right.
At the beginning with Mr. Freeze was probably that prop was probably just like mountains of cocaine.
Oh, you're talking about Batman and Robin?
Batman and Robin.
All right, because you said Batman Forever, which I would apply.
Both of them.
Be both. Yeah,
both. I would say both.
We're fans of canon movies. Cocaine is nothing to us. Okay.
Oh, some of the best movies were made when they were on cocaine.
That's probably true. There was I always have that story of like, oh, I saw the sneak preview of XYZ. Well, so for Batman Forever, I got on a Usenet and they had leaked the script, and it was like you could only download like 10 pages at a time because it was like
Oh my God.
It
Internet?
was like the days of modems,
Dial-up, modem.
you know.
Yeah.
So I downloaded in 10-page chunks, printed it out, put it together. There was still like in between each of the 10 pages, there was like a page missing. So nevertheless, I was like, well, I'll get the gist of what it is. So I read it and I was like, man, this is going to be the most exciting Batman movie ever because he actually fights and there's like, it starts with a real action scene and and I kind of imagine Tommy Lee Jones, you know, being like, you know, like acting well, like he wasn't on
Like
cocaine.
real Two-Face, not Joker.
like real nice, you know, nice Tommy Lee Jones and real sinister Tommy Lee Jones, and then like Jim Carrey just channeling Frank Gorshin and being the Riddler. I thought, man, if they do that, that's going to be awesome. And then we saw the movie that we got was not that. It was like, you know, 2 hours of Tommy Lee Jones going, "You're cooking with gas." Ah!
I mean, it's so weird.
So,
Yeah. All right. Okay, Dick Tracy. So, okay, did everyone? Okay. By this point, everyone would have seen this in the theater. I'm imagining, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone saw that. Okay. I remember when we started to get the promos for it. Now, prior to this, I actually I never read any of the Chester Gold strips or any of that stuff. I don't think I had much access to it, but I did watch all of those black and white movies, and I have all that stuff on DVD, and I thought they were all cool. And I especially, I don't know why I like the cue ball one, Dick Tracy versus cue ball. I don't know why I like that one so much. I was super excited for that particular one. I remember watching that one many, many times. And I just thought it was cool. I like Dick Tracy. I like this sort of, I like these colorful gangsters, you know. So I saw the movie, and I don't know who took me. My mom would mention to me that it was coming out. I may have gone with just my friends and I don't know if at that point I was just going on my own, because I did see Batman, but my friend, who shall not be named, his dad took us to Batman, and that was 89. This is 90. This is 1990, right? Yeah, this is 1990. Yes. So I may have just been dropped off at the theater, perhaps, or, you know, just get a ride to the theater and then, you know, watch it on my own.
So again, how old were you, about like 10?
So I was 77, 87. Yeah, like 13.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the month or whatever.
All right.
So I remember seeing it in the theater. I was like, wow, this is like the best movie ever. And I bought all the toys. I don't have lips, and I don't have the blank, which everyone knows the blank was very difficult to get, though Canada did get some blank characters, figures. I didn't get lips for whatever reason. I couldn't find them. I didn't get the vehicles or anything. I was never one to get many vehicles, but I was able to get all of, and I still have all the figures, though I've lost a lot of their accessories. I remember each guy came with pretty cool accessories that were a little bit oversized, and it's got that Playmates, like Sean and I always make fun of the Playmates, like
squat legs,
squatting, or they feel like super deformed.
I remember that.
They're always a little bit weird looking.
Yeah.
But I love this movie. And then I don't know when, at one point I thought Sean's going to talk about this, so I'm not going to go into the details of this. But I remember at one point thinking, you know, a lot of guys just got killed. And I didn't really think about it too much in the theater. I bought it on VHS, right? And then I watched it, I was like, shit, man, like they kind of smoked everybody. Like it's like Dick Tracy at the end. Okay, first of all, the beginning, big boys, well, Flat Top and Itchy come and mow everyone down. So they mow down like, I don't know, a third of the guys. And then, so those are Lips's guys. Basically, there's the two factions. And then Big Boy takes care of Lips and gets all of his guys. And then either they go with them and they're alive, or they just get killed. And then at the end, Dick Tracy literally guns down the entire cast of her. And I was like, I've never seen so many people get gunned down. I was like, holy shit.
So you got to wonder if that was a tribute to his Bonnie and Clyde movie from decades earlier, or if it was just ineptness, like we got to finish this in like 5 minutes, so everybody goes and.
He did it for a reason.
Okay, so yeah, we'll get to that. So regardless, again, and Steve and I have said this a lot of the times, we're evaluating the movie we're watching. I'm not evaluating the state of mind of the director. Like, this is all modern thinking. Well, you see, there's this deleted scene. I don't know about that. I'm 15, I'm in the theater watching this. I don't know Warren Beatty. I didn't watch Bonnie and Clyde. I didn't watch any of these things. I'm just watching this, and I was like, in the theater, I loved it. And then at home, I was like, well, a lot of guys get gunned down. But then I was like, you know what? Let's see what they do with part 2. It never happened. So part 2 never happened. So to me, it didn't matter. Now I've got one movie with everybody in it. So worst case scenario, at least I have a visual live action representation of each guy, and they look pretty damn close. Like, I mean, you can point them out here. Influence. You got prune face, flat top, itchy, big boy. Like, you can see them in here. You don't need a style guide. Like, if you watch X-Men Part 1, Bryan Singer's X-Men Part 1, and remove their heads, you can't tell who anyone is. It's just all black costumes. It's like, okay, is that Cyclops? Even with their heads, my wife, if she doesn't know that Cyclops always has a visor because of his eye thing, it's like she would not know, right? Anyways, so that's what I think I did, Tracy. I loved it. I wanted the watch. I wanted the whole thing. I wanted all the toys. I wanted the costume. I didn't have any of that stuff. And I lost all their coats. One thing that disappointed me was the figures. They never had Pat Patton. And no, they only have Sam Ketchum. And Pat, they never made a figure of Pat. And Pat was so cool in the black and white movies. He was such a fun character. And he's really funny in this movie, though. He doesn't do a lot. I like when Dick Tracy's trying to work out. He's trying to leave the fulcrum, and then he's like, okay, how much do you weigh, Pat? He's like, oh, like 180. What? He's like, how much? He's like 210. It's like, what? So wait a minute. And he didn't want to say the thing, but then he saw him like that he's working out of math. Probably he's like, I better tell him the real number. Anyway, so that's just my quick intro. I'll go. Let me swap the order. Sean, I'm going to put you last because I'll. Okay. Okay, so I swapped with John for the time being. So, John, what about you with Dick Tracy? I'm assuming you saw this in the theater. You would have been old enough, obviously.
I did. I'm not okay. Let me just. I'm not a Dick Tracy fan. I never read the comic strip, and I mean, but it just looked fun, and I like Warren Beatty, So I knew of Dick Tracy, and it just looked from all the trailers and teasers, it just looked like a fun movie, and it is. And I'm sorry, but I only saw it once in the theater. Then I watched it a second time just recently because I was going to be on your show. I just don't gravitate towards it, but when I watch it, it's fun. I like it, and it's enjoyable. I mean, and everybody is just all in. It's like there's so many actors in this movie. Like you got James Caan, you got Al Pacino, you got Dustin. I mean, it's like a who's who of Hollywood at that time. I mean, he got Dustin Hoffman. He's just like, yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna go all in and just do this. And then Al Pacino is basically doing an over the top impersonation of himself. And it's hysterical, And then just some of the lines he says, he's like, "Oh, everybody know I did kidnap you. Well, I'm kidnapping you now." It just makes you laugh. And even Warren Beatty, like he's deadpan, he's playing it serious, but then he still delivers funny lines. Like when he's like, "Did you get the sketches?" He's like, "Yeah, I got both sketches. They look exactly the same."
It's the same sketch.
So, and like, there's some good action in this movie, and like I said, every villain's in it, and like it's violent. Like there was gonna be a Disney film, but then Disney was like, let's put it in Touchstone because it's like this is probably just a little too adult for the kiddies, But yeah, everybody gets gunned down. It's like aside from saying blood, it's pretty damn violent for this type of movie, and it's awesome. Who doesn't love Tommy guns firing off, And they're just going all out at the end. It's just how many bullets are spent. And I love Warren Beatty as a filmmaker and an actor. Of course he did Ishtar, but he's he's a solid filmmaker. He's one of the greats, and you could tell he loved this character and he just loved it. And he just wanted to do a total homage, and it's beautiful. It's colorful. It's got all the color palettes, and this is one of those last movies where they did the paintings for the background and everything before they started to do like this CGI and everything. So it looks beautiful. I mean, and Madonna, how can you not? She's gorgeous, And I liked her twist with the character because, she even says, you think I'm just some dumb floozy, but she's probably smarter than all of them in the movie. And, she's awesome. And I love the names, Tess Trueheart, Breathless Mahoney. They're always named like after like something about them.
That's a genius thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm kind of mad at myself for not watching this more. I'm gonna watch it more now in the future because watching it yesterday, I was like, you know what, this is a good movie. Why have I not brought this out and watched it again? And so, thank you, J-Man, for doing this because it made me watch it again. And I just forgot about it. And some people have even said that like this is the movie nobody talks about. Like nobody talks about this movie, or at least I don't notice anybody ever talking about it, and it's a great movie, and everybody's all in, and it's just fun to watch. That's my take on it.
Yeah, and I remember buying this, and I know everyone hates the NES game. I liked it, and I ended it. I don't know why people were having such trouble with it. Like,
Both were stiff.
it's like a little bit in the driving. It was a bit weird, but the trick of it is that you have to kill all your sniper guys first. And then you could drive normally, and then you don't have to worry about guys like snipe. Because the problem is you get out of your vehicle, and then all of a sudden you're sniped, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. I found the jumping kind of stiff too. But
Kind of weird. It's a little bit weird. It is weird. It's not. The problem is that once you play Super Mario Brothers, all other controls suck. It's
pretty much.
Like,
John, I think the reason nobody talks about it is even back in the day when it came out, it was kind of cast adrift because the comic strip was so old and out of date.
It was dead.
They did a couple of the small indie companies did reprint some of the comic strips around the time the movie was coming out to sort of cash in, and that's how I got to see the comic strips. But they were hard to find, and like nobody who was reading. I was an adult when the movie came out, and nobody, even people I knew who also liked The Shadow and Doc Savage and Pulps, weren't familiar with the comic strip. It was like old. It was people like Warren Beatty's age and older that were still remember.
I'll talk about it. It was a dead franchise basically, and this was the big last one.
I'll let you. Yeah, I'll let you have that turn. But it was so now like nobody's reading. So it's just like it's just like kind of a intellectually everybody knows it's a comic strip movie, but it's like nobody remembers. Like even Flash Gordon, you can still get like really nice reprints of the old Flash Gordon strips, and there are people who like those and collect those. I don't, like I said, even in my old guy circle of people who go back decades to read the classic strips, I don't know anybody who's that into Dick Tracy. So
yeah.
Well, they've got a new comic. It's on issue 3 or 4 now.
It's awesome, actually. The Matt Cave comic,
Yeah. I got the first issue. I didn't read. Are they on 5 or 6 now? I don't know.
They're on 7. He's fighting the Blank, actually, and it's not Breathless Mahoney. So,
all right.
Oh, they have a new Dick Tracy comic. You're saying?
Yeah. I'm not gonna. I think Sean's been reviewing them on his thing. You can check out his. I think I reviewed the first issue, and that's it. I only, unless it's like Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman, I'm probably not going to continue buying. Like Silverhawks came out by Ed Brisson, who I'm actually friends with on Facebook. I skimmed it. It was all right.
It's okay,
but they're not the Silverhawks. So
no, it's new Silverhawks now. So what's the point?
So what's the point? Okay, Steve, Dick Tracy. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I saw it in the theater. My dad was super excited to watch it.
Right. So your dad? Did your dad know?
Yeah, he knew.
He knew the guys, right?
Steven, the one he mentioned, like they did the collections afterwards. Yeah, my dad actually bought one of those. He had it, and he bought it, I think, after the movie came out. And I ended up reading it like years later. It was a collection. Yeah, I think you see the one in the blue.
Oh, this
blue
thing.
one. Yeah, I have that.
Yeah,
I think everyone had that thing.
Yeah, that everyone had it. Yeah, my dad.
I don't have that one.
Yeah, he bought it, so I ended up.
That's a great one. Actually,
reading them all after I watched the movie. Yeah, the movie was really good. I remember I was a little bit thrown off by. I didn't know anything about, but I was kind of like, is everyone just supposed to get shot at the beginning? Because that seems wrong to me. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, Al Pacino was like so over the top. It was ridiculous. It was kind of fun. I did find it somewhat long, and the kid drove me nuts at certain times. Just because it's like Dick Tracy is obviously the hero, and he's obviously the best, and like for him to be like that, and I get he's an orphan and all that, but it's just kind of like
I love how
When
he takes
we-
the crimes. Like, there's a bank robbery at the end of the movie, and he's like, "Let's go, Tracy." They go like,
Yeah,
takes
they go,
him into
yeah.
a bank robbery. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
go, sir.
You know, and now the guy who plays the kid's a lawyer in real life. So
Where? Yeah.
the movies. He was in Can't Hardly Wait, Charlie Cosmo. Yeah, that's his name. But this movie, I love mumbles in this. I love Dustin Hoffman's mumbles. I love that scene where they're playing back, "Oh, we're going to get you to confess," and then they play it back, and it's him mumbling. He just starts laughing, and then they slow it down, and he's Big Boy did it, Big Boy, and he
Big boy
starts
did it. Big boy did it. Big
Just
boy did
like-
it. Big boy did it.
And this is when Hoffman just won the Oscar for Rain.
Which is great. Oscar winner. He says nothing.
Yeah,
Anyone could have played that. Literally, this entire panel could have played that role. It's just makeup and just Dustin Hoffman. Oh, what do you think about your character? Well, I don't do anything. Just there. Like,
I like the stenographer. She's like, what?
What?
She's like,
What?
yeah.
Did
I
you
know
know
it's
that?
Kathy
mumbles
Bates.
and I
I didn't know
mumble.
that until
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah, Kathy Bates.
That was Kathy Bates? I
It's
didn't
like,
even
who's
recognize
who's
her. Okay, well,
There's
there's
all these
another one.
thankless roles. Yeah.
Thankless role.
hey, there's no small roles, only small actors.
There
Anyhow,
you go, right? It's a
Hockey
war
team.
movie, so they all wanted to be in it.
yeah, I thought this movie is fun. Of course, I had the hots for Madonna, so seeing her as Breathless Mahoney was a hoot. I love Mandy Patinkin as 88 Keys.
Yeah.
So many great actors in this movie. What's her name? Glenn Headley was Tess Trueheart. Unfortunately, she passed away, but I really like Tess Trueheart. She's one of those girlfriends who you actually understand, like why, like a lot of they complain. It's like, what are you complaining about? The guy's a hero. But with her, I sort of got it. She sold it to me. I think she's married to Sean Malkovich. But it was a good movie. It was fun. I like the blank. You know, that I didn't call that twist either. Any of that stuff. So all the stuff that's been said, I agreed with. I will say about the video game, I did not like it at all.
Yep.
It was very difficult to play through, and you basically fought your way through a level just to get a clue, which I found ridiculous. I'm like, I need that's all I get. Like I just survived
That's it.
5,000 guys shooting at me, and I get a clue. Like that's all
The life of a cop is a tough life, buddy. That's they're trying to teach kids. It's like, listen,
rest
you
for
want to
the
be a
wicked.
cop? This is the bullshit you got to do. Then after you get a clue, you got to go back and do paperwork. They should have had a paperwork section in that game where you type out stuff.
And you should have had to go to a judge and get a warrant. And
Go to. And then it's like, judge is like, warrant, yes, and then you click, and then it's like, no, you're like, damn it, and then you got to go back and start it again.
And then get spit on by civilians who hate you because
Get
you're a
spit
cop.
on. Yeah.
And then, they defund you. It's like,
I mean, it was probably the most exciting, boring game I've ever played. Both exciting, you're fighting through it, but it's just like, the hell? Then when does this end? And then I just get a clue. I'm like, really? And I gotta find 3 other places. Like, so
nobody likes that. I'm the only person on the internet I searched, and it's my name's the only name that came up.
And you destroyed it in one of his videos. So. But yeah, the movie was terrific. I was shocked it didn't get a sequel, but Sean will probably explain why it didn't get a sequel. It's to me, it's a really fun movie, and I enjoy it every time I watch it.
Cool. Charlie, did you see this one in the theater?
I did. Like Steven, my dad was a big Dick Tracy fan. So it was one of those things that connected to his childhood. I learned things about like the Green Hornet and stuff like that through my dad. Like he was just, I got a comic for Green Hornet, and that's the first time I ever saw my dad like light up. You know, it's like, oh, wait, that's a comic? And then, so Dick Tracy came out, and we went to the theater, we watched it. And I think like everyone else, I had no clue other than I knew he was a guy that wore a lot of yellow and fought bad guys, and I watched it and loved it. And for the longest time, probably until I was in my 40s, before I realized, oh shit, yeah, all the bad guys die in this movie. That's not how that's supposed to go. This whole time I gave 2 shits. I was like, this is my only Dick Tracy movie, I'm gonna like it. J-Man, I only had Dick Tracy the action figure. It was the only one, because my parents were like, if we get him more, we got to get him the whole set. So let's just get him the primary guy. but Dick Tracy was about the size of all my Ninja Turtles. So
Yeah, they all
Ninja
matched.
Turtles and Dick Tracy teamed up a lot.
Great. That's a great team up.
Playmates, right? So yeah.
Yeah, well,
Right?
there's human
Hey,
characters and
Batman
Teenage
did
Ninja
it,
Turtles.
right?
Yeah,
why not Dick
so
Tracy?
Yeah.
it doesn't
Leonardo,
matter.
Donatello, Michelangelo, and Dick.
Dick. That's it. So yeah, I've had a fondness of this movie. I always there for a while. I think it'd been like 15 years since I watched it, and then I watched it not too long ago, and just really enjoyed it again. All the primary colors were just amazing. The characters, I forever had no idea that Flat Top was William Forsythe.
Oh
Yeah,
I know, right? Yeah, his looks
The
totally unrecognizable.
makeup, I forget what his real name is, but Littleface was actually a kid done up to look like an adult so they could get that bigger head and smaller face.
What? I didn't know
I
that.
didn't know that. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
What?
That's even more disturbing.
J-Man
I always-
Googling right now. He's like, where is that?
Yeah, that is a kid that they did
Yeah.
all the makeup around on it.
Yeah, you can see it now. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can
you
see
can
it.
definitely
I
see
see it. I see
my
it.
gosh.
Wow, that's a great piece of trivia. Hello, Sean. Thanks for dropping by, man. Appreciate it. Wow, that's so good.
And I couldn't find my Dick Tracy, but I do have a sealed box of Dick Tracy trading cards from the movie.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I have nothing.
I gave Jason the whole set.
Yeah,
Trying to see
I
how
I do
many-
have the whole set. Thanks to Sean.
36 packs. I don't know. You're almost never guaranteed to get a full set.
No,
in
no, you
one
would.
box.
You'll get a full set.
You'll get a full set.
Old cards, you'll definitely get a set.
Would you?
I usually can get 2 sets, and then you get like maybe like 2/3 of a third set or whatever.
I've been
You-
so tempted, but it's not an expensive even box set to get. It's just
Right.
it's more of a novelty for me to have that it's still sealed, wrapped in plastic. But yeah, but like John, like everyone else, you forget about this movie. It's not like I don't have a altar to Dick Tracy in my house like I have for He-Man. You know,
Right.
it's just like Dick Tracy's cool. Yes, I like that character. The movie's a lot of fun. Movie is it was that edge of adult, but for kids, kind of like what Batman was, that we were getting those edgier movies that just clicked with our generation anyway. Madonna being in it made a lot of moms like, oh, what's gonna happen?
And they dressed her right. God bless them.
They dressed even the line she had, like whenever he's like, no mourning for lips or something, she goes, I'm wearing black underwear. I'm like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, okay. There's that picture in my head.
The best line is where she's like, you don't know whether to slap me or kiss me. I get a lot of that. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I sweat better in the dark and all that.
Better in the
Yeah.
dark. I'll take you downtown and sweat you a little. I sweat better in the dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see nipplage on the digital. You could not see that on the grainy movie
Not on
screen or
VHS.
screen.
Of course, that was Ross's first. I'm glad I got this on Blu-ray.
Whoop, that got by the censors. But yeah, this movie's it's kind of just a fun, feel-good movie. I don't treat this like I do like Dredd, Judge Dredd that we talked about, which was another introduction to a character, but I just fell in love with it more. Dick Tracy was just like, cool. I connected with something my dad liked. I enjoyed it. I can still go back and watch it. I've not had my kids watch it because I can guarantee in about 10 minutes they're out of the room. They're going to be like, meh, we don't care. And I did enjoy the little reboot they did. What was it, last year, where he dressed back up as Dick Tracy and did that little commercial television promo thing. I was like, that was kind of nice. I liked that he did. Yeah, that right there.
I think that's so.
I know, but Warren
that's
Beatty
like-
does this on purpose to sit on the rights.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It will never leave him till he dies, and I guarantee
know.
there's something.
But that's why you
in-
can't do a reboot. That's
Yeah.
the problem. Yeah.
I
Yep.
guarantee there's something in his will that's going to screw it up even more. Like, if there's anything I'm pissed off at the man about, it's that. It's like I actually would want more Dick Tracy. Maybe
Yeah,
you could have reinvigorated a new generation if you'd have just let loose a little.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Get a cut.
This is
You know.
this is a prime example of my super boomer theory of like Arnold should not be like an 85-year-old Terminator. You should not be an 85-year-old Indiana Jones. And Dick Tracy shouldn't look like a freaking wax corpse.
Yeah, Dick Tracy easily could have gone the way of like James Bond, where it just recasted and newer, more updated stories with the vibe of it. Just to keep it going, or at least keep it in in the 30s and 40s or whenever it was, and so people have a way to look back on it and go, well, that really was a kind of a different age, a different way they did things. But I don't know, a lot of nostalgia. Like John said, anything with a Tommy gun, and there's literally a montage of him like arresting people and shooting people, and that like camera turn as he's just firing that Tommy gun, and the camera's just slowly going. I love it. Cinematography,
Yeah.
the sets were amazing. The matte paintings you guys talked about were still gorgeous. It's a lost art in Hollywood that I wish would come back. But yeah, I'll let somebody else go. I like this movie.
Charlie, do you think your kids, like, let's say they redid it and didn't just like have everybody get shot at the end, and like it was a little better paced and all that stuff. Do you think your kids would, is there anything about it that your kids would be interested in seeing?
There is so little of what even Dick Tracy is left in pop culture anymore, being, when you say detective, even my kids go Batman.
Batman's a detective.
Yeah, or anyone. There's no like PIs. There's no investigators. There's no I know we were joking about it earlier, but cops are not put up on a pedestal anymore.
Actually, I'm going to say you're not entirely right, because there's a lot of Dick Tracy in Dogman.
I don't know Dogman. When you talking about that earlier, I've never even heard of it.
With a dog's head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
I didn't know
popular right now for little kids, but like there's a lot of Dick Tracy and Batman as well.
Yeah.
Oh, there's definitely a lot, because Batman would have obviously, Bob Kane and stuff would have been influenced by Dick Tracy. A lot of that stuff it had to have leached into it a little bit. I'm surprised they never did crossovers. I don't know, how that would have even, worked as far as legalities, but I think it'd been cool if you had Dick Tracy team up with Batman to solve some kind of, plot or something against Gotham or wherever the hell Dick Tracy. I don't even know where Dick Tracy is. That's how little I know about
36 or something like that, or
yeah. But what city is Dick Tracy even in? Like, you have Batman in Gotham. Where's Dick Tracy at? Like Chicago. Just a knockoff Chicago without saying Chicago or something. I never read the scripts. Yeah.
I don't think they ever named it, did they? I feel like it's like city. Like
that's kind of how I always took it, because like you guys, I had no access. Not that I didn't want to read it. I had zero access to the strips or collections, reissues, nothing until after the movie came out. And even then it was, there's a couple of Dick Tracy comics, grab them or something. I might have one in my collection somewhere, and that's about it.
They're near the dockyard. So it's either East Coast, West Coast, or Chicago. So
I think it's implied it's a Chicago or a Chicago-esque.
Well, he was based on Elliot Ness, so that would be like the Untouchables.
I always thought Chicago, because I always thought Big Boy was Al Capone. So
right,
looks like it's even just
in the theater, I'm assuming.
Yes. So I remember I was older than you guys when I saw it. I was an adult, and it was kind of the movie this was like the movie like this that came out the year after the first Batman movie came out. And they had a T-shirt, like if you bought a T-shirt that said "Admit One," that was like your movie ticket to see the movie, and those were like found on the Salvation Army racks for like years after.
I remember that.
The "Admit One" T-shirt.
Yeah,
you'd see like homeless people wear them on the bus.
Yeah.
Too. So before we started, there they are. So before we started, I asked everybody, "This isn't anybody's favorite movie, is it?" So John hadn't joined us, and Stephen and Charlie hadn't spoken up, because I was like, I can shit on this movie for like an hour, but I'm not going to do that. I'll save it for the end if there's an hour to be had. So I saw it in the theater. I really didn't like it. I saw it. I gave it another chance on DVD. I think I gave it another chance. I still didn't like it. I think I didn't like it less. Like I didn't dislike it as much as I did the first time.
Right.
And then I watched
Right.
it again now, and I just freaking hated it.
He went
Yeah,
all the way.
this is
He
so
went all the way
good.
back. Yeah.
So
What?
here's-
So how come it's
now
music
here's-
or just
there are
like
things
the look?
there are things to like, and there are
Mhm.
also things. I know the rule is when we get to your star thing. I'll keep to the rules, but there's meta things about it that bother me. But the one of the main and central things about it going in, the hurdle I had a hard time getting over was Madonna being in it, because I can't stand the sight of that woman. And now, context, my buddy was one of the first latchkey kids I knew to have MTV. So, and he lived across the street from the high school. So we'd run over on our lunch breaks during high school and watch like the early MTV when it was just like Punks and Weird Al and
Right, right.
like the garbage, like strange garage made music videos. And then Madonna came along, and then MTV completely changed and everything had to be Madonna. And she did, like, her first couple of songs were fine. You know, Lucky Star was fine.
Look, now she could be one of the Dick Tracy villains.
Oh my God, you're not kidding. Yeah, I know.
Burnt face. Dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun.
So
It all comes full circle.
But and just the way the media just fell over her for no discernible reason other than kind of her looks, and it was implied she was easy, but you know, and then so she's hitting 30 when she made this movie, and so they did what a lot of these kind of, like, it's like, okay, you can't be, you're gonna have to outgrow that whole nightclub act kind of, or the club act kind of thing, dance club kind of act thing. So we're going to glam you up and make you into like this 40s torch song singer. And it was just like, and we're going to get Stephen Sondheim, and they fell all over themselves. Oh my God, Stephen Sondheim's coming back. He's going to write these songs, these boring, dirgy songs that sound like literally they sound like it's the demo tape version. Like in the movie, they sound like the demo tape version. And then they chop it up. Like you don't really get to hear much of the song like all in one go. And she's just like standing there singing. And now compare any of the songs that Madonna sings that they fell all over themselves, like, oh, Madonna's she's going to be singing a song. The musical number from the opening of Temple of Doom is 1,000 times better than any of her songs in this movie. The Begin the Begin song from Rocketeer is 1,000 times better, and that's an actual old song. Is 1,000 times better than anything she sings in this movie. So, and then the choreography, even with the girls, it's just kind of like they're just sort of, yay. The other thing, and this came out after Batman, where like Jack Nicholson's performance in Batman, it's like they paid him so much money in that movie that they were going to put every frame of that performance in the film, whether it just dragged on or really needed to be trimmed a little bit. It's like, no, he's got a cut of the profits too. He's going to be on every frame.
we're gonna use this guy.
Right.
Yep.
And so you take that and multiply it by 10, and that's Al Pacino in this movie. And I could just see Warren Beatty in the editing bay. It's like, you know, okay, I'm gonna take over the city, and we're gonna, and it's like the editor's like, okay, he said the line, okay. Warren Beatty's like, no. He moves his lip a little bit there. It's really funny. Let's leave that. We got 10 seconds of that. And the same thing with Madonna too. It's like Madonna's, like they lit Madonna. I mean, I don't think she's that attractive a woman, but they lit her just like perfect 40s style glam photography. You know, her eyes are like gleaming and everything. And then it's like, okay, I get it. She's pretty. Okay, I get it, Warren. I know you're dating her to pretending to be in love with her for the duration of promoting this movie. You can cut away now.
Yeah.
No, but
not wrong. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Enough. Because and her role is she just like shows up 3 or 4 times in the movie, and it's like, and Warren Beatty talks like he's talking through his teeth through the whole movie. I respect the squinty-eyed, stoic hero. You know, I dig that. I like Dredd. I like Clint Eastwood. You know, the Dick Tracy in the comics. You know, I get he's he's too cool, too tough to have a girlfriend, blah 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 blah. And then, but this one, he's like kind of wide-eyed to show his beautiful Warren Beatty blue eyes, and he talks to his teeth, and he's like, like, so you're going to testify? And she's like, here's a line from the 1940s that sounds like something from a gangster movie. So, and then he gets all like, rubber-legged and everything, but. Having to and Danny Elfman again. Danny Elfman is becoming like the comic book movie guy, and even his score is just like the most Danny Elfman score. This was like his fourth movie score, because he had done
Beetlejuice,
Batman, and I think this was like his fourth big score. And it's just like, okay, what do you got in the Danny Elfman files? He goes, well, I got this. Dun, 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 dun. You're like, okay, throw that in.
It's the Hans Zimmer. Like Hans Zimmer makes the same score every time.
Yeah.
We're watching. What was that movie Hans Zimmer scored? That was it had George Clooney, and he's like a government. It was like. It was almost kind of like George Clooney trying to be like an American secret agent role. Do you remember that one?
The Peacemaker?
The Peacemaker. Yeah. So there's.
I like
it. After that movie, I call the Hans Zimmer music missile loading music, because it's like dun 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 dun.
Oh, okay.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
this wasn't. I saw this. It wasn't too bad. I like
it was fine. It was fine. It was like the first time you hear Hans Zimmer play that music, whilst people are like loading missiles to do something with them. That's cool. But then he uses basically that same theme for like everything. It's like, let's unleash hell. Dun, 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 dun. So, but having said all of those things, it's the makeup people absolutely deserve every Oscar, every accolade, every bit of praise you guys gave them. The cinematographer absolutely deserved everything that they got for. I think it got 3 Oscars, right?
Yeah, I'm checking.
Photography.
Did you not get 4 Oscars? You had 7 nominations.
Makeup.
So it won Best Art Direction. Duh, that's easy. Best Makeup. Duh, that's easy. Original song for Sooner or Later.
Oh, see, that song was a piece of crap.
How? Yeah. What other songs were there that year?
That damn Oscar can't.
There's that Back in Business.
I also remember it wasn't like the Madonna thing didn't just end with the movie. She did that whole I'm Breathless album, and they pushed that hard. Like, oh, now she's a torch song singing diva, and it's like, she's got a pleasant singing voice, but even
I didn't see any of these things. See, I think the age gap here is what killed you on this, because I didn't know anything about Madonna at all. I knew she was a singer. That's about it. I didn't really care about her. Right. So I didn't see.
I thought time would have healed the wounds. I thought like. Right. I haven't seen this movie in about 20 years.
Obviously, that didn't happen.
No. I hadn't seen this movie in 20 years, and I'm sitting there like bored out of my skull because like these shots are like lingering on Madonna because it's Madonna, and because he's dating her, and because she doesn't really have a role, or I mean, she has an important part of the movie, but they keep having to like remind you that she's in the movie. It's like, okay, she's
so they can have the reveal. And
then there's this
thing
which is like comes out of freaking nowhere, and like the motivations of the characters. It's like, okay, so the plot is, I'm going to take over the nightclub, and I'm going to unite all you guys.
Right.
I guess he does that.
It's sort of the Godfather-ish kind of plot.
Yeah. But the blank is going to take over from him.
In case you don't,
the blank wants a piece of it all.
Right.
I think the thing is that like her thing. Well, because she was getting used to Lips. We never saw Lips's relationship with her, but obviously he liked her, and she was able to maybe she had him wrapped around her finger. Right. And then it's like when the new, your boss, they restructure your company, and now you got a new boss, and now you're like, frig, I gotta like work through all this again. And Big Boy's completely insane. So she's trying to work through this. Just like, you know what? F it. The only person I trust is 88 Keys. I'm going to team up with him. I'm going to get my money and then just get out of here, because all these guys are mental, right? They're all weird looking and they're all screwy.
Well, and that was the other thing too. Unless you, again, even back then, I forget whether it was Gladstone or Blackthorn or one of those black and white companies that was reprinting old timey comics like The Shadow and Donald Duck and whatnot. They did like a few issues of Dick Tracy, and I got myself like up to scratch enough to go into the movie the first time and kind of have a working vocabulary of the villains and all that. Also, when I was a kid, there was a Dick Tracy cartoon that had like the most unbelievable racist stereotypes.
That's pretty awful cartoon. It's pretty bad.
You're going to be demonetized if you put those guys on screen.
All right, I won't put them on screen.
So just to answer Sean's question, what songs did it beat? It beat Blaze of Glory, Young Guns 2. That was.
I like that song.
That should have won.
It beat Checking Out from Postcards from the Edge.
Never saw that movie.
Promise Me You'll Remember from The Godfather Part 3.
Yeah, I would still say Young Guns 2 is.
Young Guns 2.
Blaze of Glory is a classic.
Home Alone, which I don't even remember.
What?
That song.
So say it again, Steve.
Somewhere in My Memory from Home Alone.
Oh.
John Williams.
I didn't know there was a song in that movie.
It's an orchestral.
I thought you were going to say Somewhere Out There from
Somewhere.
That was the next
There's
year.
no way it beat that.
That was the next year.
Okay.
No, Shot Down Blaze of Glory. That
should have won hands down.
That's like a killer song, man.
Yeah.
That is killer.
Agreed.
Well, I actually don't think that song is worthy. If I like the back in business montage in this movie of them cleaning up the money and they're dumping more money on them and all that. I think that's super cool.
The montage is great. The song,
I like that montage.
The way those montages are filmed, that's like on point, old timey montage, gangster movie montage. That was cool. There's a lot of cool stuff in it to like, but it just like as a whole, it was just. If there's time, we'll get into it on the back end of the stream. But that was kind of like my.
I'm not going to do a system.
Fucking pile that I had for this movie.
You're not alone in this.
It's not that I don't hate it. Like, I don't hate this movie as much as I hate Dial of Destiny. But despite everything I just said, but it's just, because also part of it too is I didn't love the source material enough to have like that much of an attachment. My entire Dick Tracy thing was the racist cartoon which I did like. and I was a kid. I mean, that was like, what child is going to go, that's not the way the Asians I know look. But the comic book, which I did like, was kind of like a homework assignment to watch. It's like, I'm the comic book guy. I need to know before I see this movie.
Right.
Blah blah blah. So
Steve, you're not alone in this though, because my co-host is older than me. I think he might be just a little bit younger than you. He has the exact same issue with it that you do.
Yeah,
like, he just cannot stand it.
Yeah, I mean, if you were like a cool new wave 80s MTV guy, and the way they were pushing Madonna so freaking hard, that is like that is, I mean, that's like front and center. Their relationship too was like used, their off-screen romance was used to promote the hell out of this movie. He was like 50 and she was like 30, and there was people were kind of like, oh, that's that's kind of
it was in all the papers. It was in anything. If it had been the internet, it would have been trending.
They're not even like really that romantic in the movie. She's just like there for him to resist, and then Tess Trueheart gets sidelined for like a third of the movie. Like they take her
because she's boring. That's the point.
So here's
gotta go with the boring lady.
Final spoiler for, in addition to the like 95% or 98% of the gangsters just getting massacred as they're driving out of a parking garage. That's the big
Right.
finale. And Tracy's just standing there out in the open and in the middle of the road. Now I'm going to play by Bollywood rules for that one. Like, he didn't get shot because by sheer righteousness, like the super cops in the Bollywood movies, he can stand in the middle of the road and every bullet that the villains fire will miss him.
No, I'm not giving you that point. I'm giving you a lot of points. I'm not. That's every movie. So like that's
Okay.
like that's all the time, right? Like,
all right. So
surely Judge Dredd would have been shot 4 trillion times in Dredd by now. There's a million guys shooting. It's like gunning down like levels. They're like, it's Dredd. He can survive.
Dredd would have Dredd. Well, but Dredd knows the airspeed velocity of the bullets and how
they're not lethal anymore. We went
I love that scene. Listen, I love that scene. That is hilarious. He's like the lethal, but he said it's the lethal rage. You're still gonna get hurt, right? Like,
right.
But anyway,
yeah.
Okay, Sean.
But if you're wearing like full body armor, which Tracy wasn't, nevertheless.
Right. Yeah, but Tracy has plot armor. He can survive.
Right.
Yeah.
Sean. Sean's.
She doesn't. So she gets sidelined for the whole movie, right?
Right.
So they have this like boomer plot where the boomers were doing this for like almost every movie. Mad Max, Temple of Doom. It's like they have to bring in the kid, which for Temple of Doom and Dick Tracy makes sense because the kid's sidekick was a trope in those 1930s, 1940s.
Right.
Yeah. Fine. But they're like building this whole thing up where like he has to have a family. Like that's his humanizing point. If he had been the Dick Tracy of the comics, he wouldn't have gone with either girl. He just would have been like, the law is my mistress.
He's a man of the law. Yeah.
That's what I do going forward. Which would have been very alienating for $100 million movie at the time. It's like you have to like the guy, relate to the guy. He's got to be like a relatable human being, not a cartoon character, which in fact he was. So they had to imply that the three of them are going to be together. and then he's like, okay, he throws the ring at her and takes the kid off to be part of a gunfight. It's like, how many more cases is he going to be on before that kid catches a bullet?
Oh, the kid's not. The kid will be fine.
Okay.
Hold on, merman.
Oh, Sean.
All right. Dun dun dun. All right. So, Dick Tracy. J-Man put me last because I am a Dick Tracy fan.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's from my dad, as some of you have said. My dad was really into Dick. Well, I mean, it was a big household thing when he was a kid. Where everyone knew all the villains and everything, and then it sort of died when I was a kid in the 80s. And I remember the first time I saw the character was in a Maxwell House commercial. J-Man and I talked about this before. It was just a live action commercial with a bunch of Americana enjoying coffee, and then randomly there's a cartoon character, Dick Tracy, walks into a live action coffee place and gets a coffee, and I'm like, well, this has got to be somebody because it's animated. Who is this? And my dad's like, oh, it's Dick Tracy, and then he told me all the stuff, like he has a watch that talks and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And when this movie was coming out, it was really, really hyped up. Like after Batman, everyone was like on board with more comic book stuff, and leading up to this film, they did release a lot of Chester Gould, Dick Tracy stuff, and Gladstone released a series of 5 comics, which were reprints of the old comic strips, but like colored and everything. So it was like, I remember it was Mrs. Pruneface, which is funny because it takes place after Pruneface's death. So Gargles, Influence, Shoulders, and somebody else, I can't remember who. Itchy was the other one. And 3 of those, that's Influence. He's in the movie, he looks like that. So
yeah, that's what's his face?
Who was it?
Oh God, what's his name? Silva.
Yeah. And he looks like that anyways. Yeah,
he looks like that anyway. And that's funny because I was like, is that makeup or is that? Because it's just a little bit of makeup. He was the least makeup needed.
Henry.
Yeah. So by the time the movie
came out, I had a
out,
buddy who got this comic book. He got more into Dick Tracy than I did. He got the issue with the Influence. Yeah, and he said he liked the simplicity of the Dick Tracy stories, and he said, let's say you had a guy who could hypnotize people by using glass contact lenses, and they had some kind of like thing that would hypnotize people. How would you solve that problem?
Well, shoot him
How
in
would you
the
solve that problem? And I was like, I don't know. So I was trying to come up with some kind of Dick Tracy, master detective kind of thing. He goes, you hit him in the face with the bike chain.
Right. Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, I was gonna say, like, by the time the movie came out, I was disappointed by the film because I knew what the Dick Tracy thing was supposed to be. He hunts after one guy for 3 months in the strip, for one thick comic book when they collect it all.
Right.
There's puzzles, there's traps, there's some gruesome deaths. They don't skip on that. It's not a cheesy kiddie thing. There's violence in the old comic strips. And each villain has some sort of gimmick, and they use it over and over until Dick Tracy finds a way to fight them, like the bike chain or something else, right? And then he wraps up the case, and to me, that's great for our movie franchise. I'm thinking, oh, you're gonna have Dick Tracy versus Pruneface, Dick Tracy versus Influence, Dick Tracy versus Gargoyles, Dick Tracy versus Flat Top. It's gonna be awesome. And so I watched this, and after Batman, that's what everyone's mind was set to. It's like, well, it was Batman versus Joker, so the next one will be Batman versus whoever. Yeah. And so we watched this movie, and my dad took me because, like, my dad was into it. I was either 12 or 13, depending on the birthday that year. And I came out of it, I was like, I mean, it's cool, but, like, why is everyone dead? Like, they kill everybody. And you know what's funny? In this movie, almost every character is from the comics. Like, Breathless is from the comics. Yeah. The Blank is from the comics, but it's not Breathless Malone. It's Frank Redrum. So that's probably what it is in the new comic. So I spoiled the new comic for you. But yeah, like, all these characters were in it. They had, I don't know who the hell wrote it. I'd have to look it up. Whoever they were was a mega fan because everybody's in this thing.
Okay, so to answer your question, there was a guy named Max Allan Collins who was brought in to write the novelization.
Yeah, I was going to
Well, he didn't write the movie. He wrote the novelization.
Right, yeah.
And he knows Dick Tracy backwards and forwards. And he kind of got in a disagreement with the people making the movie because he wanted to make the Dick Tracy you wanted to see, and he had to work with this movie that they had made. And so if you notice that there's like parts of the movie where like there's like a long shot, and then somebody's voice is dubbed over, like, "Hey Tracy, come over here," or we got to stop this guy because he's doing this, and it's like this sort of like plot point gets sort of explained in it.
Yeah,
that was Max Allan Collins coming in after the fact to add stuff to make the movie make stuff.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, like, J-Man talked about the toys, like I didn't buy any of the toys at the time. I was like, oh, you get into that phase, right? Where like, oh, I'm not about the toys anymore, about like other stuff, like books and stuff. So I didn't get to play. There's also Applause figures, which look awesome. Applause made 10-inch dolls of like Flat Top, Itchy, Breathless. They also made PVC figures, which I never see at toy shows.
Yeah, that's
there they are. Yeah. Yeah. I bought all the cards. I have a full set. I bought another full set for J-Man, so I got him that a few years ago. I got the sticker album. I bought all the stickers. I filled up my sticker album with the movie stuff. I bought all three. So Disney was publishing their own comics at the time. They made a trilogy where the third comic was the movie, and when you watch the movie, it feels like a lot of stuff happens before this movie. But the entire 3-issue thing is it's True Hearts and Tommy Guns, I think they call it, the entire thing. Those are awesome. And their movie adaptation is wicked because all the cheesy stuff is gone. It's just like the hardcore war. And the entire thing, if you read the whole thing, it's great. Like, this is the best comic tie-in to a movie I've ever read, because usually it's just a dumb cash grab and you feel like, they're just making stuff up, but they didn't really collaborate with the people making the movie. But that trilogy was awesome. the other one that Steve is talking about is the novel trilogy. So Max Collins, yeah, he made the novelization. He made two versions. One was not revealing who the blank is, and that came out before the movie. And then after the movie, the more rare version is the one that reveals who the blank is. They also did Tracy Goes to War, which is the actual sequel to the movie. I have that. It's in the same universe. It's written by that same Max Collins. This time, Tracy is played by a guy called the Mole, who was the villain in the second comic, but he used him here. And then he has to go to war, like World War II, and he comes back and things are worse, and he has to fight all the crime that like infested the city while he was gone. It's pretty cool stuff. That would have probably been the sequel. And the third one is Dick Tracy Meets His Match, which I don't have. It's super rare, apparently. So that's the other trilogy. So yeah, Dick Tracy Goes to War is the sequel to the movie. If you're a huge fan, you probably track it down. You see, it has movie art on the books as well. It's pretty cool stuff. I also bought Dick Tracy: The Secret Files, which is another book that came out at time with different authors writing short stories of Dick Tracy fighting the different villains from his time and stuff. Yeah, so I was really big into Dick Tracy, and I read more and more of it after the movie, and it always disappointed me that they went this direction with the film. It's just one big blow up. To me, I mean, the film, the franchise was dead anyways, but this movie really killed the franchise because they didn't make a sequel after this. And Warren Beatty, as I said, has sat on the rights purposefully and done nothing with it. And like to your point, Charlie, I always thought because of the nature of the comics, they could totally do like TV movies or something where Dick Tracy fights a villain per. At the time when this is coming out, I don't know if you guys remember, they were bringing back those mystery movies of the week, and it was like a new Columbo's where he's older, new the Raymond Burr thing. What's it? Perry Mason. And B.L. Stryker. Do you remember B.L. Stryker? It was Burt Reynolds as a private eye or something like that. Okay. And I always thought, I don't know if you remember that. You could probably look him up on YouTube.
I don't remember that one.
But
I'm old, of course I remember him.
Well, I'm old too. So, but I always thought Dick Tracy could fit in that, like set it in that time of Prohibition and everything else, where everyone's got Tommy guns, and he fights Flat Top in one movie, and he fights like whoever, 88 Keys or the Blank or like Big Boy or whoever. Like there's 100 villains, and you could have done 100 movies, and that's why I was really disappointed with this film. I know it's fun and colorful and cool. Like on the good part, like the cinematography is amazing, and it's stuff that filmmakers don't or can't do now. Everything's color grading and bullshit now. There's a great shot. Well, you guys know it, where Big Boy and his gang are in the cemetery, and they're walking towards the camera, and they're silhouette, but they're highlighted with light, which is a trick that filmmakers can't do now. I don't know what the hell. And like, there's always something in the foreground and background that's the same focus, but still perspective-wise works. They can't 100%. Do that now, and it's amazing to watch now. It's so underrated in that sense. Like I don't see any reaction videos to Dick Tracy, but it's like if they watch it now, they'd be like, "Why the hell can't filmmakers just do that now? What the hell is going on, man?"
Those guys that did the father-son team that did the matte paintings for the movie, they were like the matte painting guys for Hollywood at the time. They did the matte paintings for The Black Hole. And like a bunch of other great movies, and they did like a shit ton of matte paintings for this one, and they all look great. I mean, as much as I shit on it, the movie for other stuff, the matte paintings are fantastic. My problem though with the matte paintings is there's a ton of them, and they don't like, to me that's not an important part of Dick Tracy. It was never like an important part of the comic book.
Yeah,
but
no,
it adds value to the movie, but it's kind of like, I wish they would have maybe spent the money on a better action scene or two,
Yeah, this like the thing is, this version of Dick Tracy isn't really Dick Tracy. I mean, as I explained, like this isn't what the stories were. And they
No,
weren't
and-
all grouped together in gangs and stuff. They were all individual criminals that Dick Tracy hunted down. And
Mhm.
this whole business of like it's supposed to look like a comic book. The comics never looked like that. Like this movie. They were mostly black and white because it was daily strips. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
Right.
where they were getting that from, but like it looks awesome. But that's not Dick Tracy.
Well, I think
And
they
one
got
thing I
that-
will say, my nitpick with this, and I
Mm.
know I'm in the minority, it's like they spent all this money and time and hard work on making the villains look incredible and look like they did in the
Yeah.
comics, except for Warren Beatty, who just looks like Warren Beatty. He doesn't have the lantern jaw,
Yeah.
and he has a like a trench coat that's like 2 sizes too big for him or something. It's crazy looking to
Well,
me. To me,
plus-
yeah.
Well, plus he's like 50 years old when he made that movie. Now you take for granted now somebody like Tom Cruise or Keanu Reeves can still kick ass more now than they could when they were in their 30s. But like I remember the trailers for this thing, and they would show like action scenes to promote it and all that. It's like, oh look, he's sliding down that lamp post. Oh look, he's on that fire escape. Oh look, he's holding a Tommy gun, pointing it at the camera. Oh, and it's like this like low T kind of action.
Yeah, he does
probably
kick
more
the
action.
tramp's ass, and he does beat up Big Boy at the end. But
Well, his
And
obvious-
Tramp's house
his
is going
obvious
back and
stuntman
forth.
yeah, it's true. They cut away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, his obvious stuntman does, and it's all like most of the better action scenes are just done in a montage with music playing over it. So it's not even like an actual fight that's got like a sequence of build up and tension and release. And
Yeah.
all that.
Anyway,
See,
I had hoped that this movie would reinvigorate the franchise. New audiences would come and new stuff would be made, and that just didn't happen. There's a new comic right now that launched last year, but that's like 2024, right?
Right.
And when you try to look for like Dick Tracy T-shirts, it's mostly design work from this, from the key art and stuff.
Yeah.
which
Yeah, like
was
that.
different than Chester-
This poster
it's hard to
here.
find Chester Gould stuff.
Yeah.
But like his stuff gets reprinted a lot, but like in terms of like a shirt with just a classic Dick Tracy or a classic prune face, it's almost impossible.
Well, it's like the pulp
that's- I
heroes.
kind of lament that, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think the thing is though, is like again, it's like how much do you know going in, and how much are you looking at? Like there's again, it's an IP, right? So even back then, there's 2 ways to look at it. There's looking at it as a movie that we're just watching. My wife, she'd never heard of any of this stuff. I showed it to her, she loved it. I showed it to my nephew, he loved it.
Wow.
He didn't know, and he was young. I don't know how old he was, maybe like 14 or something.
Even
And
better.
he loved it,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, or not 14, he was maybe 12 because I think he's 14 or 15 now. So
Okay.
he was like He's
still
12
in
or
that
something.
window. Yeah,
He's in that window. He loved it. And I mean, I saw this and I knew Dick Tracy only from those black and white movies. And I'd seen them all though. I had seen them all. I remember thinking like, have I seen all these? So Cue Ball, I don't remember them all. G-Men, Cue Ball, whatever, you can do the list.
Right.
And when I saw this, I wasn't thinking, oh, all these villains kind of got gunned down and this sucks. I was just thinking, wow, this is the world of this comic book, character brought to life, and we're living in it for 2 hours. I knew who Madonna was because of the name. I wasn't thinking like, oh, she's annoying. Like, see, like right now, like if I see Zendaya in a movie, I'm immediately annoyed because I'm just done with her.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
She's a new
Yeah.
Madonna.
But the thing is like, I didn't think of that. Now,
Zendaya's got talent.
no, I don't think so. In what way? So if you go back to listen to, I don't know Madonna's albums, but let's say the first couple, I pretty much like all the songs on there. So I think if we're going, does Zendaya, I don't know what Zendaya does. Does she sing or is she just an actress?
She was in Disney sitcoms.
Okay,
for a
so
while.
anyways, I can't stand her. But that doesn't mean I don't think Greatest Showman is a lesser movie. I really like that movie a lot.
She's in that?
Oh yeah.
She's in that. She's the main. I mean, if there's a main, she's not his wife, but she's like the main of the circus. She's the main lady of the circus people that goes with that guy or whatever, right?
Was she 12 in that? God damn.
I don't know, Sean. It doesn't matter. I don't like her. But so I think as Dick Tracy as a movie is cool because it's like there's all these like if it was let's say it was just Flat Top or something. It's just like he's got to stop Flat Top. So this is Flat Top a solo operator, or would he have a gang of guys working for him, and would they look normal? See, I think the thing is of making these guys all warped to Prune Face looks all shrivelly, so or Little Face is a little face. So if you have Prune Face, is it like the Batman 66 show where his henchmen are going to be extensions of his thing? Like if you look at Two-Face in Batman Forever, his henchmen have half their masks are half red, half black to match his.
No, they're just criminal.
Yeah. So they're just on their own, and Dick Tracy has to stop them. I think, I think they're like when you're doing all these makeup effects and you're making all these guys look weird, they're probably thinking, shit, if we have a shit ton of these guys, that's going to be pretty exciting because each guy's going to be super unique and weird looking versus we're just going to do one movie and really think. I don't think that they had confidence in Dick Tracy and the movie had no sequel anyways, which means even with all these guys, that wasn't enough. So if it was just one guy, I think we'd be sitting here saying, oh man, there's just one guy. That was a cool movie.
I know, but at that point, just make a TV series or a series of TV movies.
Well, that's not what I mean. You could say that.
I don't know
Batman,
why they just
right?
Warren Beatty obviously willed this into being. He was a big
fan. Right. Yeah,
and,
so he wanted this or whatever.
Yeah,
that's
to
the big
point,
takeaway.
To everyone's point, the giant stars is probably because they all grew up with this, right? And it's really a boomer's paradise. This movie. You're gonna say, Charlie?
Well, I was gonna say, I think we hadn't said it till just now. The whole overarching thing is this was all Warren Beatty's baby. I can't pick who my favorite villain is. Let's put them all in there. I can't pick who I want for this to be. Let's put them in there. And they gave him a shit ton of money and said, go. And he was smart enough because he's played the game to have full control. Like I get final edit. I get final this. He was going through directors trying to find them forever till he finally just went, fuck it. I might as well direct this thing. So this is Warren Beatty is the whole reason why this didn't work as a movie. This is the only time where we're going to be here and go, a super fan fucked it up. When normally we're like, you're not a fan of this franchise, you messed it up. Right. This is one of the few times of your super fanism, even though I enjoy the movie, I agree with Sean, I agree with Steven, that if you are a fan, this isn't what you were looking for. This isn't what you're going for.
1 second, guys. Steve's got to go. Hold on, Steven's got to go. All right, dude. Any final points, or are you good?
No, I'm good. I agree with all of the criticisms, but I still think this movie's awesome, and I still enjoy the hell out of it. So,
I love this movie. I don't know. These guys have all drank the Kool-Aid. They've drank the negative Kool-Aid. All right, see you, Steve.
All right, take care.
Yeah.
I was going to say it makes it more interesting then as an altruistic vision, right? You know, like this is my Dick Tracy, and it's like here, and they're all there. All the guys are there. It's like that's awesome.
But he did it right the wrong way, according to your guys' vision. He did it right the wrong way. They look right.
So everybody looked good.
Yeah.
Well, other than it's Warren Beatty.
MCU where they were like always every comic book movie prior to like Iron Man, they were always like a little shaky. Like, is anybody outside of the comic book community gonna relate to this,
accept this, or relate to it? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and they made it weird. But this one they made it weirder, where they had like this, the entire rogues gallery with the weird makeup and all that, and it's like the few thousand boomers who remember Dick Tracy at the time would be there like Leonardo DiCaprio going like, oh, that's Prune Face, oh, that's Mumbles, and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
but like the general public and absolutely the children who were supposed to buy the toys and all that were going like, oh, I don't know why is like all the bad guys weird looking? Is it because they're bad? They never, they just assume that you remember this from like 40 years ago from comics that had been out of
1942.
No. The thing is, there'd be no toy line. Okay, if it was just one villain, there'd be no toy line because it would just be a villain. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
like, you remember, movies are still a business. So he has to think, how am I going to turn this in? How am I going to capitalize from Batman?
right.
And he may have made the mistake, but there's all these great toys that I have, which I never would have had these toys
It's pretty
outside.
awesome, yeah.
But they
Right.
didn't
And then
sell
the other thing too is like right afterwards, Batman started to, it's like the next Batman movie is 2 villains plus Max Schreck. The next Batman movie is 2 villains. The next one is 3 villains.
Yeah.
Right. Plus a 4th villain because Floronic Man is technically Jason Woodrue and he's in
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah,
Batman
indeed.
and Robin has 4. Now, if you're a Swamp Thing fan, you're watching Batman and Robin saying, F this movie. They just killed that guy. He's a great character. Bane is treated, obviously, he's treated like complete utter garbage in that movie. He's not
Right.
even remotely similar.
He's not.
But the
close.
thing is, it's like they do these multiple villains. To me, this movie still works because I'm not sitting there thinking, wow, I'd love to see a 90-minute movie with just the Tramp. Like, to me, it's like he's just a guy beating with the army of kids. Okay, beat him up. It's over. Like, it's like Dick Tracy. Like, some of them could be elevated to do more, and some of them are just there to be there. So I never thought of it that way, even though I'd watched the movies, but I never read the comic strips. But if you can go back and say, okay, give me production values and makeup effects of this movie, but give me 20 of them, because with per guy, 1 prune face, 1 flat top, 1 itchy, 1 rodent, 1 little face. Yeah. And say, I want to have 20 Dick. Well, sure, I'd want that because then I'm going to have 20 Dick Tracy movies and I'll have a mega box set that'll have awesome art. And then someone's going to do a steelbook version and all this other crap.
Yeah.
Right. And then, in each, and then there's going to be commentary by every actor, but like it didn't happen. I don't think they were thinking the way we're thinking now. They're thinking back then, it's like, we need toys. We need this out there. We need lots of big name actors.
Yeah. I'll say this too. I'll invoke the argument that crushed society a week ago. You have all these guys and they don't do their gimmick. That's the problem too. It's like influence is in it and influence is in it and influence doesn't do his thing with the
he doesn't influence anybody.
It's like itchy, like they don't do their thing. They
don't do their thing.
In it. That's cool, but they don't like. The whole point, especially in this movie, which is more egregious, is that the whole point from the Dick Tracy comics is that each one has a gimmick and has a thing to do, and that makes them unique. And if you can't see their uniqueness beyond the rubber makeup or whatever, then what's the point? And then they die. It's like, Little Faces dies. Like, what?
He's dead. Yeah. Now, hold on. It's because I was on your team for that point. Yeah. To counter our own point, this movie didn't introduce each character with a big font or whatever and explain their thing, and then they did nothing. right. And that movie is called Con Air, which is telling you it's about.
Come on now.
It's about the con.
Actually say the name, okay?
I said it. I'm saying the name.
I was classy. I didn't say a name at all.
You did good, Sean.
Because this movie's called Dick Tracy. It's about him in his world fighting these guys. And yes, I know that's the IP name. It's like calling it He-Man, but make it just about He-Man. But if they do a He-Man movie, like the characters mean more to us here. Maybe not Steven. I'm calling you Steven now that Steven's gone. The He-Man characters mean more to us. I don't know about John, if you're a big He-Man guy or not. I know you're like a G.I. Joe guy. You're on mute. You're on mute, John.
Sorry, I coughed and I forgot to turn it back on. I am a G.I. Joe fanatic, but yes, I am a He-Man fan. I had the toys and I watched the cartoon. Yep, I'm good. Yep.
So if they did a He-Man, when they did the He-Man movie, just as a comparison to this, they've got Skeletor's guys. And, Zorad was not one of them. Karg wasn't one of them. Blade became one of them through the toys, and so did Zorad, but Karg never until recently was one. So when I saw those guys, I thought, oh well, why didn't they just use Merman, Trapjaw, Clawful or something or whatever? And then the thing is, then you saw Zorad get killed. Now, if that was Whiplash, let's just to pick a guy who's I'd be like, oh, you just killed Whiplash. That sucks, right? But the thing is that what do you do? Because He-Man is that world of those guys, and it's tough because like, how does He-Man win if they're all walking free at the trick with the cartoon is that it's really just Skeletor, and he has random monster people. But now all of those guys to me have been super elevated, right? Because like Trapjaw is like just like one of the coolest characters for me ever of anything. So I don't want to see him just get beat up in a scene and leave. So I'd be more tense if they did it with He-Man, but I don't know how they're not going to do it. Like Dick Tracy would have been easier. They didn't have to have all these guys and have them get killed. They could have just had maybe Lips to do this first movie. They could have had Lips and Big Boy, and they have a few random thugs. Maybe each guy has one guy or something just to make it a bit cooler. And then it's a gang war between Lips and Big Boy with Dick Tracy in the middle trying to stop all of these guys and then save guys for the next movie. So that's a way I could have seen them to get out of it.
Did Mumbles, is Mumbles the only one to be arrested in this thing? Because everyone else, no one's arrested. They just like get...
Yeah, Mumbles, he, and then 88 Keys is arrested.
88 Keys gets arrested.
Yeah. Well, my other question too, I don't know, I couldn't find the answer to this. Who did the voice of the blank? It's not Madonna, is it? Like,
don't think it's ever been said who did it. I think that's something I've looked up.
That's her real singing voice before they sweeten it up in the studio.
before auto-tune?
Yeah.
No, I think that's been a thing, Sean, that they've never said the
it.
actual voice of the blank was.
I think there was like just her, it may have been her heavily,
Well, then that's her best acting.
It is. So here's the thing though. To reverse engineer like the big point with this, we don't actually see the corpses as they get gunned down as they're coming out. So any 2 or 3 of those guys could be rushed to the hospital in the sequel.
The Dick Tracy wiki says they all die. There's a whole list. If you say like if you type in like who died in the Dick Tracy movie, there's a whole list of
I think what Steve's saying though,
I don't believe that.
Yeah, like if they'd have done a sequel like a couple years later, they easily could have retconned some of them being alive before Wiki was ever a thing.
I mean, Jason was killed in the first Friday the 13th, and then look what happened after that.
He was off screen and drowned in the first movie.
Yeah, he was.
So the other thing is, he wasn't even anyway.
He was in at the very end.
That one guy who hasn't seen. The other thing is,
it's like, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. It's a whole thing. We've been fighting. The Friday 13th fans have been fighting this like our whole life. It was like, well, Jason, what's the big deal? It's like, no, it's not that. That's not what happens.
Yeah. So the thing is, like they could. So if you want to play producer, they could have, like you said, chosen one villain. Which, if you got Al Pacino, I guess it's Big Boy.
Yep.
You pick Flat Top, who is the most visually engaging as the main muscle guy,
his enforcer or whatever,
and Mumbles is the snitch. And you got 3 guys in makeup, and you can make 3 toys based on them. Yep. If you have to have more, you can have that scene where they're all gathered around the table. You don't have the card playing scene and all that, but you have the scene when they're gathered around the table, and planning the thing. And James Caan walks out, and blah 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 blah. And then later you have a montage scene or you have like a couple more montage scenes where Dick Tracy's like terrorizing the gangland, and one by one he's like getting clues and talks to Henry Silver's character and forehead
brow, the brow,
one by one, and you give them like an extra 5 minutes of individual screen time, and then you eliminate the extra 30 seconds of screen time that each shot of Madonna has, and then you drastically cut down the subplot where the love story that goes nowhere, where Tess Trueheart has to go away and eat muffins with her mom and realize that I do love him, and then come back and get herself kidnapped. Cut that way the fuck down and put more montages of ass kicking, and then cut down another 30 minutes of Al Pacino vamping, and then you could spend the screen time, that 2 hours of screen time, much better than the movie we got.
Well, you cannot cut Al Pacino anything in that movie. When you're doing Warren Beatty editing, saying, "Oh no, we need to have more." No, we do need to. He's super funny to me. All of his mannerisms. It's like she's like, "Oh, you want me to follow him?" And he's like, "What, to the piano?"
Or the best part, he's
the
like
whole 88 keys. So like everybody else is like heavily made up, and this one guy. what's 88 Keys thing? He's got a receding hairline. I mean, that's
Yeah,
his
he
nut.
plays the
The
piano.
piano guy, man. The 88 keys.
Yeah. John, sorry, John, you're going to say something?
I was just going back to your thing with Al Pacino being so funny in it. I mean, like the best part of the movie, he's like, I have a thought. It's coming. It's gone. It's like
Yeah, the audience laughed when I saw it.
I laugh. Oh my god, I laugh so hard with Al Pacino. Like I said,
It's still funny.
he's doing a huge impersonation of himself. He's just like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do other people doing me. You know, it's
Yeah.
That's exactly what he's doing. I think the biggest takeaway that they could have fixed this is just not kill all of the other bad guys. Why not just arrest them?
Well,
Like, why not just take some of them to jail so they're still there in
Yeah.
case there's a sequel?
Right.
You know?
John?
Right. But it was said that he put all the criminals in there because in case there wasn't a sequel. Now, I looked it up, and this movie made money. So usually when it makes money, you're going to want to do a sequel, or the studio is going to want to do a sequel because it was like it was
Batman
47.
They compared
million.
it to Batman. That was
Yeah,
the
but it was
problem.
47 million, and it did 162 worldwide and 103 in Canada and US alone. I think he didn't want. I think this was just a passion project for him. He's like, you know what, I love this. I'm going to do it, and then that's it. I don't want to. It was
My
all-
takeaway was what the stuff I was reading. Nobody liked working with Warren Beatty,
Or
and they
that too.
probably couldn't get half of the people they needed to even come back
Right.
because he was just a terror on
That sounds
everything.
right.
Yeah. I mean, and that's where I would take it as this is the time where that was good money back
Oh
then.
yeah.
I mean, they were
Are you
getting
kidding? That's
free
almost a-
publicity with just him, like Steve said, dating Madonna is free publicity. That didn't cost the
huge.
studio shit.
Yeah.
So
And
they're
every
on the
one of those
cover of
villains-
People and everything.
Every one of those villains was like a huge boomer star at the time. You know, Al Pacino and even the character actors, Charles Durning. Those were all like character actors who were in like every movie that was being made at the time. It was kind of like the tail end of when they were in every movie at that time, but it was still
It's like their Twilight, but this was like their big hurrah of a lot of them getting in there in a big picture. you know.
It's like the last time they were on a movie screen, and then they ended up on TV shows after this.
Right.
So. But like all the made up guys, I mean, you had James Caan and Al Pacino in the same movie again.
Yeah,
But they're,
that's
like,
so cool.
heavily made up that you're going like if I was a boomer and I didn't care about Dick Tracy and the two actors I'd pay to see because I like The Godfather like got crap all over their face and they're just like vamping and stuff, and I'd be like, why am I even here? You know?
I think this is not an easy target audience movie.
No.
The property they're making is old and forgotten. So, but and they're like, okay, we need to sell toys, we need to get high profile actors, we need to have some singing, we need, whatever, let's get Madonna, all that. So they have to put all this crap in the movie. It's not like the Dread 2012 or whatever film, which is like, we don't care, we've got our target audience, we got our boys, we know who we're going to cater to, we're making it for you guys, you right there, and you're literally sitting in the theater like, wow, they made this for me because everything that's happening.
Yeah,
right, like you're sitting there like every single thing.
That's even like 3D right there.
Exactly.
3D, yeah. So it's like no, because we're sitting in the theater. Well, Sean and Steven and I were sitting in the theater like, wow, this is like literally made for us sitting right here to watch this because we're loving every second of it. It's tough for Dick Tracy. Even
and then
if
you look around, there's no one else.
There's literally no one else.
That was me when I saw Tarzan in the Golden City. But okay.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say something too. See, same thing with Dredd. It's like, what could they have done? And I'm bringing that up because we all love Judge Dredd, and so it's like, or Dredd. It's like, what could they have done to make that bigger? I don't know, because I told everybody to go see it, and everyone who I don't know one person who didn't like it. Everyone's watched it. I liked it, and they're like, oh man, it was so good. It's like, yeah, but you didn't see it in the theater when it mattered the most to go, to get those box office numbers up. This movie, like, who is the target audience? Because every movie has a target audience. This is like, you're saying, like, I didn't know about Warren Beatty dating Madonna, but but they're selling toys. So they're selling toys to me, and I'm loving this movie. And I don't know any of this backstory stuff. I wasn't listening to Like a Virgin or whatever was out. I don't know what her albums were. I wouldn't have been listening to that when I was 12 or 13 to be like, oh, I like this tape or whatever, right? Like I'm listening to California Raisins or something.
Right.
Shit like that.
We're listening to the Chipmunks cover Madonna. That's what
I like. Yeah, I legit like Chipmunks.
Hell yeah,
I was gonna say I legit like Chipmunks.
It was pretty mainstream. I mean, Like, so I don't know.
Or
But-
MTV
Well, no,
generation. You're right.
They
Sean.
were
Yeah.
they were going for they were trying to please everybody and please less than what they. I mean, it wasn't a complete flop, but it's like they thought, okay, we got the grandmas and the grandpas who remember Dick Tracy. We got the boomer parents who remember Warren Beatty and Al Pacino and all the other character actors in this. We got the teenagers who like the Batman movie with the Michael
Yep.
Keaton and all that, and the comic book readers, a few of the comic book readers, blah 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 blah. And we got kids because it's colorful and they've got like cartoony villains and they got the toys. And there's a kid in this movie
There's a
too.
kid
that's
in it.
making-
There's a sidekick.
It's for everybody, and it's no because like the teenagers didn't like the kid and. Not
In-
every,
in the-
the parents
in the
didn't
case
like
of Dread-
Madonna, and-
Yeah. In the case of Dread, like I don't know the answer, J-Man, but in the case of this, I wouldn't have spent $100 million on this thing. Like,
No.
it's like I would have known that this is not for anyone. It's like this He-Man movie coming out. Like, who is this made for?
The budget was 46 million for Dick Tracy, and according to Wikipedia, it made 162 million.
But
Worldwide, exactly. You make that. You make
No,
it
but like I read a
Oscar
thing where it
100
was everything all told was 100 million.
Yeah, so including all of the
Yeah, and it
like,
didn't make.
ads and
The
press
problem
and all
was
that.
it didn't make. They thought they were gonna make Batman money because
Right.
they
Yeah.
even back then they thought comic book, therefore same thing, and it's not going. It's like let's make a Black Adam movie and spend $200 million on a character that never had his own series before. You know,
Right.
Well,
Well,
you're right.
Well, and Sean, you can answer this too, but Judge Dredd was made for the target audience, and it didn't work. Let's say this movie only had Big Boy. Let's say no Madonna because Steven doesn't like her. Let's say it was just Big Boy, and maybe James Caan as the leader of the other gang or whatever, who gets killed off when he doesn't want to work with them or whatever. And maybe you have, I don't know, like a couple of other guys, Flat Top or something.
Flat Top has to be in there.
Flat Top has to be there. So do you think it would have made more money if you remove those other elements?
I would think it would make more money if you spent less on it. That was my
it would have been more profitable, and also
I see.
like the
So you're saying, right? So
promotion
like,
for it was like
you can make
insane.
it made money, but it didn't make money that subsidized the 100 million of like print ads and freaking everything else. It's like no, that's the thing, and the thing too is I probably wouldn't make a Dick Tracy movie. I would recognize, no matter how much I love it, I would recognize that it's kind of a dead franchise. It's like me, you're the same age as me, J-Man, so we're at 12, 13 when this thing came out. We grew up on Star Wars and Star Trek movies, Superman, Indiana Jones, Transformers, G.I. Joe. It's like we didn't know anything about Dick Tracy. Like I only got into it maybe the year before this movie came out, but I'm an oddball. Not everyone else did. No kid was gonna know who Pruneface was. So why are you making this?
Yeah, Sean, you're me like when I was your age. When I was like, it's like somebody would say like, "Oh, you like Star Wars? Well, that's based on this thing called Flash Gordon." So I got like totally into Flash Gordon. And it's like, "Oh, you like Indiana Jones? Well, that's kind of based on Doc Savage." So I got totally into Doc Savage.
Yeah,
So you'll find this thing you like, and then you'll go back and.
It happened with Starship Troopers. I read the book before
I'm going to read the Micronauts Omnibus and review it. So
yeah.
So
like right now, how many kids in North America know who Skeletor is? And a He-Man movie's coming like next year or something. It's
don't think
who are you making this for?
No, Masters of the Universe never really went away. I mean, they're going to.
I know, but I think it lives on with people our age.
But I think he's saying it didn't go into obscurity like Dick Tracy did. Dick Tracy literally went into obscurity.
Because it's period setting. He-Man is still fantasy. You can, and G.I. Joe is still military, and Transformers is giant robots, and giant robots are cool no matter what.
It's gonna draw.
They can transcend generation.
Back in the day was because when something was gone, it was gone. It could be gone forever, as far as you know. There was no bringing stuff back every 20, every generation or so.
And there was now we're the generation of the collectors. We're the people that we want everything that comes out. Back then it was, oh yeah, Dick Tracy. I remember that. I don't have all of the comic strips. I didn't snip them out of the newspaper and glue them onto my wall. I didn't have all this. It's a different generation, but you also have the studios going, hey, you remember that campy, stupid Batman thing that used to be on in the 60s? They made a movie about that and it made a shit ton of money.
Right.
They had prints. They had all this stuff. Let's do that. What property do we have? Which one's cheap? I don't know. This dude has Dick Tracy and he's been bugging me every week to make it. Fuck it. Let's do it. And let's just copy what Batman did and do exactly everything they did promotionally, story-wise, all this. But let's take it to 11. He had like one villain and some goons, all the villains. Warren Beatty wants it, give it to him. Yeah. Whatever he wants to do, give it to him. Disney sees what he's doing and goes, Touchstone, not Disney. And he's like, fuck it. Okay, it's still going to go out.
I mean, this is the era of that, though, because like Phantom and Shadow were kind of gone, too.
They're gone, too. They're more gone.
They were a cheap
No, I know you love them,
property.
but like they made these giant movies. But it's like Brenda Starr. Do you guys know who Brenda Starr is? Yeah. Steve knows. But like Brenda Starr is like a comic strip reporter. They made a movie about her with who was it?
Brooke Shields.
Brooke Shields. It was Brooke Shields. Yeah, John knows, man. And like no one knows that character.
No, dude. At the time, Brenda Starr was still there. Were still newspaper comic strips.
Oh yeah, not here.
Still running the comic strips. Brenda Starr.
Yes, exactly. When that came out, they were still doing comic strips. But the paper and stuff was still being read.
So the thing is, like with Dick Tracy, they did like Charlie said, it was a very apples to apples comparison. It's like in fact, it was even funny. It's like we got Jack Nicholson as a villain. We're going to put Al Pacino as a villain.
Here we go.
Boomer stars. Boomers are going to go see it for them. We got, and then on top of everything else, we got Warren Beatty as the main star. Kim Basinger was huge when the first Batman movie came out. We got a sexy girl there. We got Madonna. We're up to 11, like you said, on that one too. We got characters in a lot of makeup.
Well,
we got Danny Elfman in both movies doing the
Danny
soundtrack.
Elfman.
Yeah.
Well, you guys were even talking about why Dick Tracy even has like a love interest in this. Fucking Batman had a love interest at the end of Batman, and there's hope at the end of that movie of he's gonna be a normal person, Dick Tracy. Even though as characters, Batman wouldn't have gave a shit about getting in a relationship. Dick Tracy would have been like, all right, on to the next case. I'm not worried about a girl. Put the kid in an orphanage. I'll see him when he's 18. That would have been about it. 16 if it's in the 30s. But it was playing copycat. It's playing they did good. We want a piece of that pie too. What do we have that we can do and get a piece of that pie? And they weren't worried about it's 50 years removed, because when you look at it, Batman was 40 years removed. If not a little bit more, if you go back to the comics.
They were still doing Batman comics and still doing Batman toys, and it was just kind of like, now we've got this new Batman from the movie.
Yeah, which shot it into the stratosphere.
Though. My position is that making a Dick Tracy movie more accurate to what Dick Tracy is would not have made it play any better. Because the Phantom was super accurate and no one cared anyways. It's like, and Batman, Batman 89 is less accurate than Phantom, with Kim Basinger killing guys. His Joker killed the parents. It's like, I'm sitting in the theater saying, Joker didn't kill his parents. What the heck is that? It's like, at the end, I'm like, did he just kill the Joker? What the hell? That's weird. It's like, why does this girl know his identity? This is trash, right? I love 89. I've seen it 4 million times. It's like top 20 movies of all time.
Favorite Batman.
Right. So anyways, but I'm just saying, I saw the Phantom. I was like, well, this is so awesome. And then I bought the first 3 volumes, which is 1 year a piece.
Worked on you.
Strips. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa, this is like super accurate, man. They called it Sang Brotherhood instead of the Sing because they didn't have. But the girls, the aviator girls, the Catherine Zeta-Jones, the women pilots, that's from there. All that stuff is there. So that's more accurate. Batman is less accurate, and Batman's a super mega phenomenon, and the Phantom's nothing. The Shadow, accurate, not depending on what you want. It's not that thing. Dick Tracy. So if Dick Tracy was accurate, it wouldn't have gone anywhere anyways. And then versus now we have a really colorful, fun movie with all of the villains in it. And it's a one-off. You're never going to see it again. So that's a cool piece of history to own. It's like all the villains, they all get killed. They do nothing. As Sean's right. They do nothing. They just sit there, get shot.
Right. Yeah.
But they're there for a second in live action where we never would have got them. They would have had just Big Boy, just Dick Tracy. The movie would have been the same thing. No one would have cared. And then we'd have one toy thing and it'd be on eBay for $7,000 because there's only one toy, right? And they'll be like in the packaging because some kid didn't open it. It's like now we have a whole
I never even saw this, Mom. Shut up.
I don't care about.
The thing with
we're gonna say the villains didn't even do nothing in Dick Tracy.
Do none.
Little-face influenced the Brow rodent. Didn't even do nothing.
Itchy didn't do nothing. Well,
Itchy did stuff. Itchy did stuff. We ain't come for no kid. Come for any scratching. I liked Itchy. I thought he was great. He did a lot of cool stuff too. And he's like he's just hanging around with Flat Top, trying to be all in with them and all that.
Is he not? He disguised his voice as a woman and sounds.
Yeah. Yeah, he goes, Mr. Tracy, you can't just take a child off the street here.
Before he opens the door,
Then he opens the door, it's like, he goes, yeah, we ain't come for no kid.
I do love the heroic stuff in it. I love when they're trying to bribe Tracy.
Yeah.
So the kid in the comics is called Junior. It's the same thing.
It's Junior,
but,
but they call him at the end Junior.
Yeah. But cool. But he when he sees that Tracy doesn't take it, he's like,
that was great.
Like there was like one moment he was like, uh-oh.
And he helps him escape, and they dive before the explosion, which is weird. But that whole thing was awesome because then now and he gives him the detective badge and everything is great.
That's cool.
And
he's got the
bank robberies. He's on. Yeah. He's like a cop. He's like going with him to bank robberies.
He's an honorary deputy, man. That's how that works. Yeah.
Is he gonna stay in the car? We don't know.
But that's what every kid wanted. I mean, even we wanted to be Robin and hang out with Batman. We wanted to be the kid that Dick Tracy adopts and you get to go do all these cool adventures. That's the whole point of those stories. Even when it was on, the radio shows, the kid sitting there putting himself in those places, they did a lot right. And for someone that didn't have, I don't want to say bias in a bad way, but where I didn't have any bias towards a character that I knew nothing about, I just got lost in the movie. And all the isms in the movie worked for me. I was about 10.
It's the same as Dredd. It's the same as Judge Dredd for at least Charlie. John, I don't know. You weren't on there. Did you like the Stallone Judge Dredd movie?
I liked the Stallone one. I loved the Carl Urban one.
I agree with exactly the way you just said that.
But you didn't have Judge Dredd Stallone was your first introduction to Judge Dredd, though, correct?
I mean, aside from I was reading the comics before I saw.
Oh,
really?
Yeah. Hey, listen. I was reading comics. The only thing is, when I got older, I got out of reading comics, so there's like a huge gap. So that's why when J-Man has these shows, it's like, damn it! If I had kept writing them, I could be on your show. I'm getting back into it now, but I'm still behind.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. But back then, I already knew who Judge Dredd was, and when I saw the Stallone one, I was like, he took it's Stallone. We gotta see his face.
So he's a lot more in relation to what Steve was like, because we're J-Man and I, this was our first introduction really.
So you didn't know of the comic before?
No,
I didn't know anything.
And that's why we have a fonder memory of the movie. And the reason we're saying this is because this is almost the same correlation.
It's exactly the same. Yeah. Except Dick Tracy, I'd watched the black. So my interpretation of it, I actually have the reverse opinion. So I watched the black and white movies or whatever they were. Yeah. And they have one villain each.
Serials or whatever they were called, weren't they?
Yes. They're kind of
they're not features and features.
They made both. Yeah. And I've seen both. I've seen all of it.
Yeah.
And my thinking at the time was like, oh, these serials aren't that good. There's only one villain. And I had the reverse opinion. Like, I'm like, oh, why is there? Oh, he's only fighting one guy. That's not as cool. I was like, this movie's way better. There's a lot of guys in it.
They didn't have as much makeup though either in the series.
No, they weren't. They weren't.
They didn't do anyone from the comics either.
No, I was so disappointed when there's no cue ball. I was like, oh man, is cue ball in this? And there's no cue ball. And then I started to pretend that I pretended that the Brow was cue ball. So when I would play, when I would play with my toys, I'd pretend that Brow was cue ball.
Because he was kind of your Lex Luthor.
Yeah, you could use your Lex Luthor as cue ball. I didn't know what cue ball meant. I didn't know that. I didn't
Oh,
know.
he's just bald.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
it.
He's just bald. I didn't.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I didn't know what that meant. I just thought, oh, he's like a. I literally
Oh.
thought, oh, he's like. I literally thought like his head is really strong and he can hit and he can headbutt or something. I
you're
was
overthinking
Well,
it.
was
I-
the
That
serial,
would have been badass.
I was overthinking it.
They're scalp shaming him.
was the serials like they didn't have the licensing for all the characters except for Dick Tracy? Because remember, like back in the
Probably.
70s, they did the Amazing Spider-Man, and with the Nicholas Hammond,
Yeah,
and
oh, I love it.
he was just fighting regular guys because they didn't have the licensing for
No,
anybody
well,
else.
not just
Well, they
They-
didn't have
they
the
were-
budget either.
no, they were afraid.
Well, that too, yes.
They were afraid to put like they already had a guy in long johns in a Spider-Man costume climbing up the side of a building. They were afraid like moms and dads are going to think this is some kind of kid cartoon crap if we put a Green Goblin or a Mysterio in this on top of everything else. It wasn't until like after Iron Man that they started to get the balls to put. And remember, even in the MCU, it was a slow climb. The only time I remember, like in real time, as this stuff was happening, the first time I remember seeing a supervillain from a comic book on a TV show or even a movie was, see if you can guess,
So the first time you saw a villain from a comic book,
a supervillain
supervillain.
from an actual comic book on a network television TV show.
I mean,
Been like
Batman
Batman?
66.
Yeah.
Aside from that, because that leaned into the cartoony silliness of the comics.
I mean, do you count Kingpin in Trial of the Incredible Hulk?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly.
You know what? You might have got me on that one, but no.
All right, tell it.
Mark Hamill in The Flash.
Oh, Trickster.
Yeah.
That was the first time I remember seeing like a villain from the comic book fighting a superhero from the comic book on a mainstream network TV show.
Right.
Huh.
Nobody tricks the trickster.
Yeah. So
Yep.
It's the movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
there you go. So, but to line these things up, the Phantom movie, I love the Phantom movie, and that was another one that I kind of came in. It was a relatively clean slate because, again, like I got a hold of some of the reprints and sort of boned up on them ahead of time. But I just love that movie because I love that movie, and that's when Catherine Zeta-Jones went to the top of my future wives list was the Phantom movie.
Well, we're going to be doing the 2 Zorro movies, so.
Oh yeah, I'm going to embarrass myself. So this was like 100% just Billy Zane, the stunts, the action, everything being cool. But I understood that it was just going to be for me because even guys like dorks I knew from the comic store, they were like, that Slam Evil movie poster campaign was off-putting to them, But and I was kind of like the guy who liked the old stuff, so they knew that I was going to be all in. But otherwise, it was just kind of like, no. So even
That was
comic book
another
people
one.
were not that into it. Dick Tracy, there was like this one dude who cosplayed as Dick Tracy for like a year or two after the movie came out, and he had he had that bright yellow coat, and I don't know how he did that yellow hat. Maybe he bought it somewhere or whatever, but he did the hat. He kind of looked a little like he looked more like the Dick Tracy from the comic than Warren Beatty did.
Right.
But like the Shadow, I was all in for that one. I had read all the comics. I had read a bunch of the pulps and the paperbacks. Well, I'd read paperback reprints of the pulps. I liked the way Alec Baldwin looked. I thought, oh, cool. Jonathan Winters is going to have some funny stuff. Who was it that did the score? Was that Jerry Goldsmith?
I don't know.
The score. Well, I mean, whatever happened, the score was awesome. I think that was Jerry Goldsmith with Jelly Bean doing he was like a dance. I think it was Madonna's dance record producer.
Jerry Goldsmith.
Yeah, it's Jerry Goldsmith.
Yeah. So, so I was like all into like The Shadow, and when I saw that movie, there was like half an hour in that movie that I was like, yes, that image there. I was like, yes. Pretty much until you get to the fight at the end when it suffered from that 90s thing where the heroes had to take their mask off. So it's like the actor defeating the villain at the end.
They paid for Alec Baldwin. You're going to get Alec Baldwin.
Well, that's like
Pay for
Stallone and Judge
Stallone, you're
Dredd.
going to get Stallone. You pay for
Same
Michael.
with-
exactly.
He's gonna take his mask off.
I
at
mean,
the
he
end of
wore his
Batman
helmet
Returns.
at the beginning just for the fans. Be like, "Here's my helmet," but then the rest of it is like, "Now you got to see my face."
Yeah, well, but that opening 10 minutes too. Well, actually, that first time when he's on the bridge with the dude and he recruits that guy, I was like, yes, and the little bits and all the details, and like when he's like sending his messages through the pipes in the city.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There's so much I love about that movie, much more so. As far as I'm concerned, and as far as I'm concerned with the Stallone movie, they had, especially when they deviated from the source material, they had a lot more for me to like potentially not like. Like I could have turned on those movies like a cur dog. But there are a lot of things I love about the Stallone movie. They gave me about a half hour of Cool Dread stuff, which was about the best you could expect at that time from a comic book movie, as far as being faithful, and then the rest of the movie being kind of cool. And the same thing with The Shadow. It's like, it's not a perfect movie, and I'll tell you, did either of you guys, any of you guys see The Shadow in the theater when it first came out?
Yeah, I saw it in
I
theater.
didn't get to.
Because I remember that Furba dagger looking a lot more real in the movie theater. And I think like when they transferred it over for Laserdisc, the CGI started to look like garbage. And I don't know I don't know if they've redone it for like any of the transfers or the 4K or whatever, but
buddy, I'm ahead of you, CC. So you can check this out, The Shadow Black and White.
This is awesome.
At least 3 of my friends sent me the link. They're like,
yeah, to this thing. So now here's the thing. So our friend Clobberin Times, who passed away last year in June, who did all of our streams with Sean and I, or at least a large portion of them.
Yeah.
He hates this Shadow movie. So how you just did, 40 minutes of destroying Dick Tracy or whatever.
Yeah.
He did that with. I was like, oh, I love this movie. He hates it. It's not the comics. It's not this. It's not the pulps. It's like literally like it's like fire. I was like, I like it.
I could do the same thing with The Shadow. There's a lot to dislike too. I heard that they literally filmed 2 different movies. One was like a dead serious like mystery pulp story, and then the other one was like this goofy thing. And they just like picked the best shots or the best versions of that scene. Which is why you get like the really cool opening on the bridge, and then you get like, "Hey, I get my ties with Brooks Brothers," or whatever the weird, goofy dialogue shit and all that. So, and then did you ever see the movie adaptation of The Shadow that Kaluta did?
No. What?
There's a movie adaptation of The Shadow, and I believe Mike Kaluta did it. It's somebody who's like
DC? Yeah,
close to the comics, and there's like the scene.
Is it on YouTube or something? Hold on, I don't want to go on it on here.
No, it's a comic book. Jamie.
Yeah.
Comic book. I'm sorry, comic book
adaptation of The Shadow.
Yeah, let me see if it's on the site.
There's literally a scene where he pulls out the guns and he does this, and it's like this, and he goes through that mystery hotel, and Shiwan Khan's guards are like lined up on either side of him. He just goes down the aisle going, pa, 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 and I was like, why wasn't that scene in the movie? Didn't they film that? I mean,
let me look at the. Okay, I see the.
I could take apart the Alec Baldwin Shadow movie, but to me, it works better as a movie overall, and I have to just go like, okay, at the time that movie came out, I got about as much as I could expect of the source material I love in a movie that's pretty good to okay. And
fair.
God bless him for going that far with. No, that's the regular.
That the one? That's not the one.
That's from the 70s. That's as you can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget, I don't even know if they officially called it the Shadow movie adaptation. It was just I think it was like a graphic novel. No, that's the one.
No, that's not
Can
it.
you look it up by Mike Kaluta? Can you go by?
Well, not on this. This is the site that Sean and I use.
Oh, okay.
This isn't it.
Not it
Oh,
either.
Sienkiewicz. Oh yeah, you can tell that's his cover.
That's pretty
I can
good.
definitely see his cover. That's a great one.
Those are pretty good takes on the Shadow. I mean, those were all the things that made me a Shadow fan. All these comics.
The problem is you type the Shadow and there's 4 million. Like we're never gonna.
Let's if I can.
Well,
I know there's a DC series. I think I have
that was the DC series.
Mm.
Okay, so here we have all of them. Well, we know it's not. We know it's not.
DC Comics.
No, that's the
a
one I was
movie
just on.
adaptation.
Okay, yeah.
After it.
Archie Comics? Huh.
Or it should.
Yeah.
That might be the movie adaptation.
You think it's the? You want to try that one?
Archie?
No, I don't think
Or
so.
not, no.
That looks
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
Unless it's called Shadow and not The Shadow.
Just go Shadow movie Kaluta on a regular.
No, you can't do it on here though.
Oh, yeah,
You can
because I
say-
tried to put the link in the chat and they wouldn't let me.
Oh, I can. I mean, I can look at. Yeah, I can look it up. Like The Shadow Kaluta. How do you spell his name? Yeah, that's right, Kaluta.
Kaluta.
So is that? No, that's not this.
No, it's the
No.
same one.
No, I have that. It's a series.
Is
yeah.
it this? No.
Nope.
Yeah, Kaluta. Here you go.
No, that's not it. That's not the movie one though. That's they did that before the movie came out. There you go.
Okay, so it's Dark Horse.
Mm-hmm.
Ah,
Okay.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
Like if you
Shadow.
love the movie and like all the stuff that you wish you had seen in the movie, that's where you'll find it in that thing.
I like Dark
Oh, so-
Horse too. That,
So they
Yeah.
did this after the movie, then you're saying?
Mhm.
yeah, this is after.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd read
Ooh.
those. Those are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love when
anyway-
Dark Horse does that, but yeah.
Yeah. So like as far like to line everything up, like the Phantom, I wasn't like that attached to the source material, but I just love that movie. It had all the elements that I wanted to see.
It had a vibe to it. Yeah.
I'm pretty cool with the movie because it had enough, and the same thing with the Stallone Dread movie. It had enough as somebody who like really like top. Hey, what's Classic Comics doing in there?
Classic Comics. Oh, what happened there? That was weird.
Yeah.
We found you.
So, but the because it's the Phantom. It's the
Yes, the Phantom. I
Kingdom
know.
of the Paradise.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You don't have to
Yeah.
hit me with a stick. So and like in my grand scheme of top 10 nerd franchises thing, it's like The Shadow / Doc Savage, Judge Dredd. You know, these are all like top 10 favorite things.
Yeah.
But the Dick Tracy, because I wasn't that attached to the source material. I would think had the movie been like a lot better, I would have liked the movie a lot more because I was more of a blank slate. I wasn't like, oh, look at what they did wrong with, look how they handled Tess Trueheart. Oh, look at,
Right. You're not purist whenever
right,
you watch.
right. I like all the places where it would have gone off script for the source material.
Yeah.
But
That's it.
also, have you?
I've got this statue. I just watched this. I've got this. You're never going to see it. It's behind me on a shelf. I've got this Doc
Yeah,
Savage
that Doc
statue.
Savage. That's an
Oh,
awesome
man.
statue.
And I got it for like, I don't know, 30 or 40 bucks or something stupid. My comic shop got it by accident from the distributor. And so they called the distributor and they said, like, he's like, we got this statue. And the guy's like, you know what, man, whatever. They're like, they couldn't be bothered to do the shipping and get it back and all that. Cause the guy's like, I'm not going to pay for shipping. You can come pick it
Yeah.
up or I can send it back to you. You send me, and they're just like, just keep it. So then he knew I love Doc Savage. He's like, do you want it? And he's like, it's like, what do you got on you? I'm like, I've got like, 40 bucks or maybe I had a $50 bill or I was like $50. He's like, sure. Like,
Dude.
and it's like a $300-something statue.
Is it sideshow? I can't read the corner.
It's sideshow.
It's a,
Wow.
yeah, you got a
'Cause
fucking
I've
steal
got
on
the,
that.
I got a super steal.
you see the little bronze bust in the middle there?
Yep.
good.
So they made a companion for that of the Shadow, and he's got the guns like this. I've got
Cool.
the Shadow one of those, and at one point I had the replica that they made of the dagger from the movie. It was like a life-size like metal replica of the.
We're
dagger.
gonna do the movie, guys. So I'm gonna make sure we're gonna definitely. Have you seen the movie, Charlie or John? Have you guys seen it?
Which one?
What Doc Savage?
Doc Savage.
Yes,
I've
yes.
never-
A long time ago, but yes,
I've never seen it.
I'd have to
Oh
watch
my
it.
god!
I hear you guys talk about it all the
I-
time, but I had never seen
Oh
it.
boy.
Now that's a generational.
This
thing.
looks like
I
a
was-
normal guy.
No, I was like,
What?
I want to look like that normal guy.
Let's see Sean without the shirt.
Yeah,
We're
take
gonna-
your shirt off, Sean.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I was like 10 years old when I saw this for the first time, and when I found out that there were books, These were the books that I read that didn't have pictures in them. This was
Right.
like the one that moved me into, and they weren't made for kids either, really. But so I
See,
No.
hold on. He looks good. He looks good there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I
it's not
mean,
bad.
right? Like that's Doc Savage pulps.
yeah.
Right.
Oh,
This
yeah,
later, right? I've got
He
a
gets
few. I've only got a
bigger.
few of the. I have some
He
of the
gets bigger,
reprints.
So
Yeah, there you
he
go.
gets
Yeah.
bigger like that. Yeah.
That's freaking Dolph Lundgren all of a sudden on there. Jesus.
See,
that was
right?
insane.
Yeah, he
That's,
starts
that's
getting-
what I
yeah.
thought Doc Savage was. That's
He
roided
like
it up.
his
Steve-
most
Yeah.
covers.
Steve said something earlier that kind of the reason I'm probably not as biased, even though like my dad introduced me to a lot of this, was my dad wasn't like a hardcore fan of this. You know,
Right.
he's like, I know that it's something from my childhood, and now they're making a movie about it. Let's go check it out.
Right.
I don't even think my dad ever come at the end of it going, wow, that fucking sucked. You know, it was just my dad took it as an opportunity to be like, I'm watching something I was your age when it first came out, or was
Right.
even watching it later. My dad's in his late 60s. So a lot of this he probably even saw after it was initial release, but he knew it and he finally got to it. But he was never well, they got that completely wrong, or that doesn't work. Like Phantom came out, he was just as excited as I was. Yeah, The Shadow, we both loved that movie. He was like, oh, this is great. He didn't watch the newest Green Hornet movie. I think that would have broke his heart. That would have been the
was
one. That would have been the one where he went, none of this is in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather him watch Black Mask with Jet Li.
Yes,
and be like,
that's a
let's watch
great
this
movie.
instead
Mhm.
and forget that there's a Green Hornet movie, because that was the one he was always more keyed in on. Was he loved the Green Hornet stuff? But my dad had just that passing fandom, which is a lot of that generation too.
I know
There wasn't-
everyone did. So Charlie,
Yeah.
this is what I'm saying. This Dick, okay, so Dick Tracy shout out, like it's saying, oh, I remember this, but there was kid things, and then you just grew out of it, and then you left it behind.
Yeah.
We're the guys who's dragging it with us.
That's
It's
what I'm
like,
saying. We're
Our
the
generation's
collectors.
different for some reason.
Yeah.
yeah, we're dragging it. It's like He-Man. It's like, oh yeah, I remember Jason loved He-Man when he was a kid. Or 5 minutes ago when he just bought a figure from Walmart, like a day, it's like he's still buying He-Man toys. Like,
Yeah,
Right.
they did
My
this
parents
with Lone
watched me
Ranger.
open my Castle Grayskull for my own damn birthday 2 years ago from the Origins. I
right?
bought it. Jackie wrapped it. My parents are there at the birthday party, and I am fucking 11 years old again,
Right.
opening up because I never had it as a kid. And
Oh.
it was awesome for me, but in hindsight now, I went, I bet that kind of bugged mom and dad, where they're like, we couldn't afford Castle Grayskull, so now he got it. And then part of me is like, I'm an asshole.
I don't think they didn't care at all. My mom doesn't. She's like, yeah, he liked He-Man. She didn't know what I had, what I didn't have. She just bought whatever random crap it was.
She
No.
threw out Castle Grayskull. You told me
Charlie.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
we rescued a Castle Grayskull from the garbage, and then we it wasn't mine, but it was someone else's. Like
Oh.
someone else's mom threw it out in the garbage, and that's the one I still have now, which is not mine. Like mine went into the garbage, and then one day my grandfather and I we were scavenging, and it's like, oh, Castle. I was like, yes, Castle Grayskull, nice. So it's like, I got
A lot of
I got-
people
You
like-
got so much stuff in the garbage, man. The Godzilla and everything.
I got
The
the
Godzilla
right there
you have is from the garbage, yeah. It's
from the garbage.
The Shogun Warriors Godzilla.
Yep, hold on.
Yeah. Well, a lot of my collecting is I still have a lot of what
It's
I
awesome.
I had
Yeah, when I was a
that.
kid.
Son of a bitch.
and so I'm not like if
He's got his hand and everything, and shoots out. Yeah, that's from the garbage. The
Wow.
the
Wait, you found it in the
superintendent.
garbage?
Yeah, so the superintendent at my building came over. He's like, his name was Carlos, Mexican guy, and he's like, he goes, your grandson likes Godzilla. My grandfather's like, oh yeah, he's big time Godzilla. So he's like, Jason, I found this. Do you want it? I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
You know how many GI Joes were killed by this Godzilla?
Oh yeah.
Like
All of
we
them?
line them up. And I did Army Ants versus God. I did everything
Army
versus God.
Army
I did
Ants.
I did Battle Beast versus Godzilla. They did not win. Army Ants, the Army Ants they were pitiful. G.I. Joe did very good for themselves. They lost a few guys, got killed in that match, but the Army Ants were obliterated. See, even as a kid, I knew, I was like, yeah, they can't really win. It's like,
My
this is-
dad brought me home a Luke X-wing Star Wars figure from the dump. He took trash off, come back, hands me Luke in his orange flight suit,
Oh,
and I was
awesome.
like, "This is I didn't have that one. This is
I
awesome."
didn't have it. I
And it
still
was like a
don't.
few years later, my mom's like, "He found that at the dump. It was like
Who
laying
cares?
on the ground." I was like, "I don't care. I
Yeah,
still
no one
have that
washed
one."
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's
I
fine.
want to hope mom did, but probably not. It wasn't in the trash. It was on the ground. But yeah, dad's always been like, "Yeah, we found that one in the trash." It was carried
No,
it around for weeks.
we moved to a house in Toronto here, and when I was like 8, and in the backyard 2 weeks later, I dug out someone buried Bazooka, like the GI Joe
Oh my
figure,
God.
Oh,
in my
Wow.
backyard, and I'm like, okay, now I have Bazooka.
there's still a Tuscan Raider at my grandparents that I have yet to find because
Yeah.
they lived in, like, when I say I live in the mountains, we live in the mountains. Well, where they were, it was like an entire hillside of sandstone. It
Oh, wow.
looked like Tatooine.
Yeah.
And I'm out there with my sand person and Vader,
Uh-huh.
and I left them outside. Well, I found
Be back.
Vader, and I have never, to this day, I still found my
Yeah.
Tuscan Raider in the sandstones
Oh, wow.
outside.
Wow.
Yeah, somewhere there.
There's still a Tuscan Raider running around out there, and I will find him one day.
I bought a bunch of the figures from the Shadow movie too, including that motorcycle that's not even on screen.
Right.
I didn't
Yeah,
do
there you
any
go.
of those. I
Yeah.
think it was such a flash, and that
Yeah,
I
he's got the
never.
quick draw
I
action.
took mine
That's a
out.
great figure.
I figured
actually.
it wouldn't be
That's
worth
awesome.
anything, so I just
Yeah.
took mine out of the packaging.
No,
The
I've
old-timey
got like
cars-
tons of Phantom and Defenders of the Earth.
Yeah.
Tons. That entire shelf. You're never going to be able to see it, but you could kind of tell that entire thing is Defenders of the Earth.
Well,
Yeah.
when we get to it, Sean, I'll show you my Battlefield Earth figures.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
man, I want
Made
that so
Battlefield.
badly.
I also have the card set too. You're talking about cards.
Do you have this?
Yes.
The little CD-ROMs.
Yes.
That's
Don't
awesome.
ask me why this was right here where I could grab it. I found it, and it's
Yeah.
literally a little
It's like
tiny
Battlefield Earth
CD-ROM.
and Charlie's like,
for
this is like,
Battlefield.
what the hell
This-
is he gonna get?
And I hate this movie.
Yep.
I
So-
can't
so
stand this
I didn't-
movie.
I didn't share this the story last when we were talking about Indiana Jones, but like I said in the last stream, my brother's like 5 years younger than me, so he bought enough Indiana Jones figures to get the proof of purchase seals to send in to get the Belloc, right? So
Oh,
he mailed it in, and like Belloc never showed up. It was either lost in the mail or they never sent it or whatever. And he used that like into adulthood, like, I'll do that when my Belloc gets here. It's
I dig
Oh,
it.
awesome.
you gotta
Kept that
you
going.
gotta wash the car. Yeah, well, I'll do that when the Belloc gets here or whatever.
I never
So
could find the reissues. They had the reissue of those.
They're
originals.
absolutely horrendous garbage.
Yeah.
I've got Short Round and Indie, and like I didn't even open them because they're so bad. I'm like, I'll leave them in the package. At least it looks pretty as a package.
well,
They were worse than the reaction figures. That
Yeah,
I can't stand the reactions either. But
Well, I
you
was-
said
A lot of
that,
those
and they
are
did a Belloc, and that's what reminded me that they did
Well,
those reissues.
I was at a con and somebody had the Belloc in the original like shipping box that they would have sent like back when my brother was a kid.
little white mailbox or the brown one or
but
whatever.
it was
Yeah.
all beat up
Yeah.
and it was like $30. And I said, it's worth the $30 to fuck with my brother. So I bought it and I mailed it to him.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, I've got the
I know
I'm
they
not
make
sure.
these.
No.
Okay, so I've been
I have that.
No, I get that.
No, I get it too. So I've been reading. So I'm on chapter 9, I think, of the book, part 1, chapter 9. I've stopped reading it because I got the enormous version. It is so huge. So I ordered the mass market paperback, which is being mailed to me. They sent me a $25 gift card to use on Galaxy Press, which I can use, and I'm going to get the audio adventure of Battlefield Earth. It's a full audio production, 150,000 sound effects, 60 plus voice actors doing the parts. It is 44 CDs.
Mhm.
Jesus
Okay, no-
Christ.
Or
Now- One
you can
second,
get it on
but-
USB.
Or I'm going to get the USB. I'm going to order that. I'm just waiting for my credit card to reset. It's resets next week.
Yep.
I'm going to get the USB version. I got $25 off, and they sent me the poster. It's Frazetta. So I emailed them. I said, "Hey, do you still have the Frazetta poster?" They're like, "Yep." They're like, "Address?" I'm like, "Sure."
That would be
And
cool to have. I mean, I give you that.
email them. You don't have to do anything. Just email them and say, "Give me the." It's Frazetta.
Give me. I want it now. I just can't. That movie was so bad. It's basically Scientology done in like, yeah.
But not the story. Not the story.
L. Ron Hubb. There's a lot of Scientology mixed in.
No, what it is like it's the Brotherhood of Man part of Scientology, where a bunch of humans presented with a problem, uniting and using science can overcome whatever's put ahead of them using logic and that part of Scientology. It doesn't do a deep dive at all.
All those human-esque characters thinking they can jump in F-14s at the end of that fucking movie.
See, in the book, that training part it's a long part of the story.
And I can understand you can do it longer, but they literally felt like they tossed them in those planes at the end of the movie. And we know how to fly F-14s, and here we go.
There's a long training thing. They picked up a bunch of dudes from Scotland, so you had a bunch of Highlanders flying F-14 jets in the in the book.
But look at the monsters. The Cyclos are like these monster guys.
Yeah,
they're not just like John Travolta with like a nose clip or whatever,
dreads and stuff. Yeah,
knockoff Predator Klingon hybrid looking thing.
Elton John from Tommy High Heel Boots.
Yeah,
like they're monsters, and like they like listen to there's like 20 minutes free of the audio adventure. It's friggin' crazy. Like,
it's great.
It's awesome, and the book is super easy reading. It's like you're just flying like. I could easily. The only problem is literally like this big. Like it's like it's stupid.
It's uncomfortable to hold on to.
I can't read it.
I
mean, but the all the other audiobooks of his pulp stories are like that too. There's a lot of actors and a lot of sound effects and music and whatnot. So, I mean, I understand why people have a problem with it too. So I'm not going to push it too hard. But if you like pulp stuff and you want to hear a good audio version of it, the two best audio like. Unilaterally, the L. Ron Hubbard stuff is really good, but the audiobooks of The Spider from Radio Archive.
Oh, those are all awesome.
Those are completely.
But I just read those. I read The Spider because I've been buying the Steve.
But have you heard the audiobooks?
No, they seem cool.
The dude is like Wentworth thundered across the room and splattered across the face.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's great. I heard clips of them. That's awesome.
And he uses that mid-Atlantic accent that they used back in the day, like an old-timey
nice
1940s guy. Yeah, it was fantastic.
I recommend Operator 5. Spider's my favorite, but I started Operator 5, and I bought that for everybody because I was like, and then also that Battle Aces, which is just friggin' like unbelievably super pumped. Battle Aces.
G8.
G8 and his battle. Oh my God. But no, Operator 5. I'm going to make that movie. It'll just be for me. Yeah. And if nobody else watches it, I don't care.
Okay, Warren Beatty.
Yeah. But no, I'm doing one villain.
Disney will give you $100 million.
I'm doing one villain per thing. There's that blimp that could like that will like mesh with the sky and they couldn't see it. You're like, what? It's so sick. And they're dropping cars and shit. Oh man. Operator 5 is Spider's great because Spider, there's no continuation. He just kills every villain. Yeah. There's no recurring villain. I think maybe the Fly, but like there's no recurring villain. He guns them down, laughs about it, puts the spider mark on it, and he goes, "I just killed that sucker. What are you gonna do about it?" And then he walks off.
He does the DX.
He does the crotch chop and says,
"Suck it,
suck it." No, the Spiders, and the problem with the Spider is that now they've got Spider-Man Noir, who is a ripoff. Of the Spider. So and then I'm the only one saying that's a ripoff of the Spider. You don't know what you're talking about. It's just like,
well, there's a story, Spider story called Death Reign of the Vampire King, where he fights a villain called the Batman. But it's basically just a dude with like a hang glider,
Right. It's yeah.
But the spoiler, he makes a noose and hangs the guy just like Batman did in Detective 27.
Oh, awesome. So wait a minute. Well, we know that Bob Kane, besides not coming up with anything to do with Batman, except for the name Batman,
Right.
We know that everything that he did come up with was stolen from the shadow. They're literally like,
Right.
look,
Or a
here's the
false
shadow
picture.
picture, and here's the same picture, except he just drew the ears,
He
and look,
put
it's
ears
Batman.
on the shadow.
Yeah,
It-
and
Took
then
the
it's
hat off.
Batman.
Yeah.
It's actually
If you read the-
disgusting, but that's another stream, really.
Yeah.
If you
we'll
read
be
the
here for
Anyway.
whatchamacallit, the Stanley's introductions in Origins of Marvel Comics, he even says, like, I remember there was a character called the Spider, and that's how I came up with the name for Spider-Man. And it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
I don't mind Spider-Man and Spider because they're completely different, but Spider-Man Noir is
yeah,
basically the Spider, except he's not going to kill anybody. He does look cool, and that it's Nicolas Cage playing him.
Yeah.
It's
hard not to love him.
It's hard not right.
Yeah.
That's my see, Charlie. I wake up every day tormented. I'm like, I want to hate this, but I'm kind of excited anyways, because despite what you may have heard, I still like Nicolas Cage. Anyways, all right, guys. All right, we're gonna end off. Next week, we won't do anything next Sunday, but the Sunday after, we're doing Tarzan in the Lost City. I'm trying to find it in the library, and a lot of the libraries are out. It is on YouTube, and if you go to the YouTube link, it says in the description, hey, we tried to find the worst quality version of this movie in order to upload it to you, so please enjoy. It literally says that. It's like, this is the worst quality you could ever imagine. Now, I own this movie on DVD, so I can watch it no problem. So I'm trying to find it from the library, but it is on YouTube in the what is now called the worst version of a movie you could possibly imagine. If you watch it on your iPhone, it probably looks clear.
No, I saw it in the theater. No. But
now our boy Scott Tracy Griffin did interview Casper Van Dien, and Casper Van Dien did do the forward to one of the Tarzan books here. So we have a professional Tarzan guy on here.
Right.
So we're not going to do our normal bullshit. And also we've got, and he's also an expert on Doc Savage, and we are going to he's the only person I know who has an original pulp of every Doc Savage story, which is absolutely, I mean, that's like, I can't even fathom having that. That's crazy. And there's hundreds of that.
100th anniversry Tarzan book he did just to hold it up and go like, because I've been putting it off, and it's like,
oh, nice. Okay. So he'll be happy. He's a super cool guy. But yeah, we're not going to do our normal bullshit on that.
Well,
we have to we have to be on our best behavior.
I think we'll end up talking about the movie for like half an hour, and then we'll get into like bullshit about Tarzan in general.
Sure, Tarzan in general is okay, but not.
That's how this works. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. He knows that, but not like, oh, let's talk about how trash Snow White is or something.
No, we'll talk. We can talk about the Bollywood version of Tarzan that they got on DVD. Where
you talk about all the 90s Euro songs about Tarzan.
Oh my god!
Yeah, the Toy Box song.
all the Toy Box, all the dance songs.
Anyway. I don't know what any of you are talking about. This is very weird.
I'll link you.
Oh my god! Oh dear. Is this a rabbit hole of weirdness that's going to happen?
Probably, yeah.
So I don't know if I told you this story, but we were driving around.
You've got like 30 seconds to tell it.
Okay, we were driving around, and the John Carter movie was being promoted. There was a huge billboard, right, just like we were driving under the billboard for the John Carter Disney movie, and on the radio, the songs from the Disney Tarzan cartoon were playing. One of the songs, and I was like, Edgar Rice Burroughs rules. And that was probably like the last time I ever got a chance to say something like that.
Okay, well, you will definitely get a chance to say it this time. Who else do we have on here? Sean, did I put yours? Sean.
Oh, I even have a shirt for it too.
Sean's.
I don't have any. My Tarzan shirt would just be going shirtless, and then I'd be like my Tarzan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, Stephen, do you have anything you want to mention for people?
Well, if you like Tarzan, you'll probably like You're the Hunter from the Future, which is not
your background's eating it.
Yeah. Well,
but the background's yours, so it works. Yeah.
When's 4 coming out?
The 4th issue is like stuck in the horrible Diamond distribution debacle. So it should be,
I had mine on order, and I was like, "Where is it?"
You'll probably get it because it was done, completed, printed, and it's just got to get. It's probably the last comic they'll get in stores for a while. But hit me up, and I'll send you digital. I keep promising it, but I've been sick, so I will send you digital copies of the whole enchilada, and then with some other crap. And there you go. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Charlie, what's going on the podcast?
Just keep plugging along at Pete Month, where we let Pete pick all the movies. This week, Cruel Jaws, aka Jaws 5.
I've never seen that.
It's
I've
so much. It's
seen
so
that
bad.
one.
It's just but it's so much fun. Same director that did the Strike Commando movies with Red Brown, Robo Force,
Robo War,
Robo Wars. That's what it was.
Oh, I have Robo Wars. Yeah.
And then next week, surprise for me, I watched RRR for the first time. So
yes,
boys, my first Bollywood movie, and I fucking loved it. All right, that's all I can say. My feet were tapping, Sean. I was enjoying the hell out of that movie. I didn't even care it was 3 hours.
Even the
long,
dance numbers? Did you enjoy
even
the dance?
all the dance?
It's the ultimate romance movie.
Oh wow!
It really was.
There's only
I
like
enjoyed
two
the
dance
hell out of
numbers
it.
in it, right? It's the big one, and then there's the one at the end, right?
I read if you've never seen it, but you want to watch some, this is like the best one to start with because it's not full of dance numbers throughout.
Yeah.
Like this is very low key for even them. And I was like, this I like. This I can get behind. So
yeah, so hit us up in the Facebook thing, and we can recommend a few others that are easier to digest.
Yeah, the other ones that director has done are awesome too.
Yeah, Babu Lee is like Conan mixed with Lord of the Rings. There's like two musical numbers.
Steve sent me you sent me a list in the group chat. So I know Pete has already got the one that's like Conan. He goes, this one, and he showed me the picture. I said that one. So he's supposed to watch it and get back with me.
There's a lot on Netflix. A lot of them are on Netflix.
RRR was on Netflix.
Yeah.
You just sit there and watch it. It was amazing. So that's me.
All right. John, what's going on your website?
I actually want to do something. I've done like 3 posts in 3 weeks because I got promoted and it sucks. So I've done 1 podcast in 2 months and like 3 articles in 3 weeks. So my goal
what's
is
what's the website about, John?
It's in the chat.
actionflix.com. And then I do a podcast called The Action Fix in relation to it, which I'm supposed to do it, but like the last one I did was the Superman trailer, and that was the only one I've done since November. Yeah. So hopefully I'll actually have time to do something. So
awesome.
I worked like 80 hours last week. My boss got
my God.
Yes. Yeah, so, yeah.
Can you do posts like what I do is like when I have a day free, like tomorrow morning, I'm going to make about 3 or 4 videos. And then I can, on YouTube, I can upload them and set a premiere date ahead. So it appears like, I remember when I had my accident and it's like, how are there videos? Like Steve messaged me, he's like, how are you doing a video a day? And I'm like, I said, no, Steve, they're all post dated. Like I upload them all. And I don't know if you could do that with podcasts. Is that I don't know. Is that a thing?
I can schedule. John can schedule too. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, like so. John, tip, do a shit ton of them. Like the next day you're free. You know what I mean? Like do like 3 or 4, right? And then you're ahead, right?
That's a good. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
That's what.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. Sean, you know that's a video a day is. I don't know where I got that tip, but then that was a Sean tip. So the video day was what I was aiming for. And then the Sean tip was like, well, why don't you just post a few? And I was like, okay. So I kind of combined all of the things like, yeah, I'll just do a shit. Like I literally tomorrow I will wake up at 7 and I will do 3-4 videos. And then I just put them out.
Yep.
Well, I'm supposed to be off tomorrow, so hopefully I will give that a try.
Do like 5 pauses, do like 5 or something crazy.
And then keep going. It's like
write a couple of articles, just have shit ready to go. So when you're busy, you're still got content rolling out, man.
Yep. Yeah, you just need one thing. Yeah.
Sean, I will say that I watched your recent, well, I don't know if it was recent, but your review of the G.I. Joe Compendium #1. I loved your hand modeling. It was great. I
my hairy hands. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scary, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a reason we didn't let him take his shirt off tonight. That's what.
It is awesome.
I enjoyed it, though.
Oh, it's off right now. What are you talking about, Charlie?
Yeah.
This
is like great.
This is it. Like this is it. Right now.
Oh, and by the way,
there's a reason why we all wear shirts.
Yeah. Yes, I see the bearded shirt. I'm wearing
Starsky Hutch. Yeah, I meant to
shilling the bearded shirt, and I'm also shilling Sean's review of the omnibuses. So
wow. 2 in 1.
Yeah. Just like RRR when
This
they
is
hold
this is like
hands
RRR.
and like
Yeah,
now.
when-
title comes on screen.
And it forms the logo
Badass.
of the
Fuck
movie.
you!
so
The movie's starting.
Fire
All right,
and water.
guys.
So good.
All right, guys, this is great. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Legion live stream. Looking forward to that, and then Action Elite on Wednesday, and then Friday's Valentine's Day. So I'm not streaming anything, but I'm gonna go see Captain America: Brave New World and review that, and then I'll do an open mic on the weekend, unless I am absolutely pissed off about it and don't even feel like it.
You will
Then-
be. Yeah.
then I know I'm a
Hey, you
grifter.
love
We
talking
screw
about things
ourselves
when
up
you're
so
pissed
much.
off.
Yeah, but I do, and I am a grifter. I've become a grifter now, so it's like I want. As soon as you get monetized, you become automatic grifting. It's
Yep.
like I just,
Yeah,
I just say
You're a
acolyte.
acolyte,
Acolyte.
acolyte. Yeah, that's it. And
There
then
you go.
that'll stand
And
up,
then Jade goes on like 20 minutes of
and then it'll be 20 minutes. This is what you. What was that? What movie is it? This is what you paid for. Oh, Hard Target.
yeah.
Hard Target. He says it. This is what you paid for. It's like you've invited me on. That's it's.
You're in it. That's
You're in it now.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good one.
Hey friends, you've just been listening to J-Man, and he is the smartest person who ever lived. So make sure you like and subscribe.